UK, amazing, amazing, amazing. Nigeria, fantastic. From Lagos, Nigeria. Rabi is joining from Abuja. Ghana, fantastic, amazing. So this is the beauty of sessions like this, okay? You get to be in the same room or in the same space as people from across the globe. All right. So for today's session, like I mentioned, you're going to be learning how to land data analyst roles in Canada or in the UK with no prior knowledge. All right. So if this is your first time joining us, we are 10 Analytics, okay? And we pride ourselves literally in bridging the barrier, the entry barrier into tech. We represent excellence, and we try as much as we can to help our participants, help the Black community in general, okay, in order to breach that barrier into tech. Now, most persons want to transition from wherever they are working or from their present job role into a different job role. However, they don't have any clue, they don't have any idea how to go about that. Now, 10 Analytics come into play. We're trying to help people, or we help people in the business of transitioning from wherever job role you're currently in into the tech space, okay? And our services range from data analytics, business analytics, data science, data engineering, and we have top-notch facilitators, okay, who are professionals in the field, impacting the knowledge down based on their experience, based on very structured curriculum, and you're certainly in safe hands, okay? So today, I would be calling our founder, our very own founder, Adesa Suleiman. He would be the one taking us through today's session to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Adesa, welcome, over to you.
Thank you very much, Joan, for that fantastic introduction. Good evening, everybody. I can see Stephen is joining all the way from Kuwait. That's absolutely amazing. So welcome to this session. Today's session would be super exciting. And just like Joan has introduced, my name is Adesa, and I'll share my slides shortly, and then we'll dive into the session for today, the main meat. Joan the Star Girl, yes, Anne. So what we expect to do today, now, even if you are not, so I'm just going to mute everybody so that we don't have any distractions. It doesn't matter where you are. You are in the UK, you are in Canada, you are in Nigeria, you are in Kuwait, you are in Jamaica. All the things you'll be learning today is applicable to you, all right? Because what I'll be showing you is how to apply to jobs that require when you have no experience. I get this question all the time. Oh, I've been a teacher for the last 10 years. I've worked in the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, and I don't know how to transition. How do I tailor my role to fit into the data analyst career path I'm trying to transition into? All right. So this would be relevant and applicable to everybody who wants to make that switch. And we'll be talking about some very, very critical mistakes that people make, and also the things you need to take note of eventually. All right, so let's get started with our session. I'm super excited to be here. And I think Joan has done well to introduce who we are and what we do at 10 Analytics, but I'll just give a bit of a background just to start. Okay, so let's see if we can all see my slide. We're expecting a lot more people to join. However, we'll continue, and then they would meet us along the way. Thank you, Thomas. Kaisido is saying this is a serious session. Kaisido, you need to relax a little bit. I understand that absolutely it's a serious session, but we can also have fun while learning at the same time. All right, so let's get into it. So how do you get a data analyst job in the UK, in Canada, with no experience? And that's the emphasis on no experience. So let's dive into it. First of all, like Joan mentioned, who are we? Now at 10 Analytics, the focus for us is on helping people of the Black community, Africans, to transition into tech. Okay, so you'd go into several organizations, and this has been my experience over the last decade. You'd go into organizations and you'd find the Asians, the Indians, holding the top roles with regards to tech. Okay, and we believe as a company, it's time for us to bring more Africans because we have the skills. What does it take to eventually become a data analyst, for example? By the time we are done with this session, you'd see how straightforward and easy it is as long as you have the right learning partner. And we offer services across different areas within the tech ecosystem, especially within data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, HR analytics, and so many other areas with regards to tech. Now, one of the things we pride ourselves on, which I'll be speaking to today and also showing you how you can tap and take advantage of that particular strategy, is on the professionals we bring to bear. All right. So you are learning from the best of the best in the industry, people that are doing the job on a day-to-day basis, not people that learned how to, data analytics online on YouTube and so on and so forth. All right. So you have your trainers, your facilitators coming from companies like Apple, McKinsey, PwC, the big fours, basically Sahara Group, Procter & Gamble, and so many other top class companies across the globe. And for me, John has introduced me already. My name is Adesa Suleiman, the founder of Data Analytics, data analytics expert with close to a decade years of experience across 5 different sectors, from energy to sports, to educational technology, to automobile in the UK. And I've helped so many people transition into tech. And I'll be sharing some of my experience with you. How do you move from so many sectors, move across so many sectors as a data analyst? People find this very difficult to do and confusing. Oh, I've been in education, I've been in healthcare, I've always worked as, a pharmacist. I don't know how to make the switch. I'll be sharing, some knowledge with you on what you can do to ensure that you make that transition seamlessly within the space of a few months, right? And what exactly would we be looking at today in terms of the structure of our session? Okay, the first thing is we'll try to see what a data analyst does. Who is a data analyst? What do they do on a day-to-day? And I'd want the session to be a little bit interactive. So I'd ask for volunteers who would want to, add value to the session. All right. So we'll keep it interactive, keep it fun as much as we can. All right. I'd also show you using the right CV format, because this is a very crucial aspect of getting a job. A lot of people ignore this, and I see so many people making mistakes, taking one CV, applying to 1 million jobs out there, and they expect to get, positive feedback, but that would never happen. So how do you get feedback? How do you get, get the right job with the right CV? I'll be showing you how to the right CV formats, the mistakes you shouldn't make, and so on and so forth. Okay. After that, we'll move into how to tailor your CV and where to apply to jobs. All right. So now you've seen different jobs. You've learned all the skills you need to learn as a data analyst. It's then time for you to get a job. How do you apply to jobs? The job application process is not something we can cover within the space of 2 hours that we have for this session. However, I'll try to show you as much as I can, or as much as time permits, on how you can tailor your CV to get the best jobs out there. Okay, where do you apply to these jobs? And also, if you have no experience, it's not a problem. No experience, no problem. Okay, so I'll also show you what you need to do with regards to that. I'll then introduce you to our data analytics program coming up on the 2nd of September. And I'll share some success stories with you. Okay, so people that have also started their journey, just like some of you will be starting your journey with us. How have they been able to get value and gotten jobs at the end of the program? Okay, so let's get started. The very first thing is, like I said, you need to know what you are looking for. Who is a data analyst? And what skills do you need to have as a data analyst? Because this is very, very crucial. And you'd see it's also very, subjective, because everybody today has an opinion. And they always say, oh, this is what I think. This is what I think is ideal. But we're going to make this session today very, very practical. We'll go on different job sites, both in the UK in Canada. And I'll show you how you can start to search for jobs, how you can put your CV together and apply to those jobs, leveraging so many tools along the line. All right, tools that would help you ensure that you get the best possible outcome from your job application process. All right. So first of all, who is a data analyst? And I'll put it very simply. A data analyst is a professional that takes the data generated from the company, analyzes the data, extracts insights from that data to help the company take data-driven decisions. Okay? Now, let's break it down and let's make it a little bit easier. Let's bring it home with an example. Now, imagine that you work for a company, all right? And that company sells training programs. Let's say Tenalytics, for example. You are all on this call. It's a free session. You are all here. Let's assume you work for Tenalytics as a company. Now, Tenalytics gets participants from different locations. Just think of it. We have students within those locations in the UK, across the UK, across Canada, the US, Nigeria, Europe, Poland, Switzerland, Sweden, and so on. So many countries in Asia, the UAE, Dubai, Jamaica, so many countries across the globe. Now, we gather all this data from our participants, but how do we use the data to our advantage? How do we ensure that we are delivering the best service on the one hand, and how do we also ensure that the message is getting out to the people that the message needs to get out to? All right. Now, the data analyst will take that data generated internally by the business and, for example, analyze and see where we get the highest number of participants. So the people that eventually join our session. So let's imagine that in our free sessions, 60% are from Nigeria, all right? And 40% are from the other parts of the globe. However, that 40% that seems to be the minority are the ones that eventually make payments to join the program. Okay, so in that instance, what the data analyst would do is analyze the data and come up with different charts and different visualizations and show it to the management and say, after analyzing the data, this is what I saw. Even though we have so many people, registering for the free sessions from Nigeria, the people that eventually make payments to join the program are from this particular region. So we need to focus attention on these regions, A, B, and C. Simply put, that's the role of the data analyst. How do you help the company take decisions without, imagining or just based on intuition or assumptions? How do you take decisions that are backed by data, decisions that are data-driven, so that when you implement those strategies, when you implement those recommendations, okay, so let's target the UK, let's target Canada, let's target Poland, you start to get a lot of traction and eventually leads to additional revenue, your bottom line increases, and so on and so forth. That's the role of the data analyst. Now, the ability to analyze the data and come up with insights, you need to know how to use different analytic tools that a data analyst would be able to use. Okay, and I'll introduce you to the tools you need to know. You must know as a data analyst, and what we also offer at Tenalytics. But before we move into that, I want somebody who is willing to volunteer. Okay, let me see. What's this? Right. I want somebody who is willing to volunteer. Okay, you have a chart on my screen. I want somebody who would want to share what they think this visual is all about. I would explain how the data was gathered, but I want somebody to tell us what they think. And while you want to volunteer, let me quickly tell you the story of this chart that you can see on my screen. All right. Now, this is from a company that offers travel services to its customers. The company has been recording losses in the last few years. Now, going into the new year, they decided that rather than coming up with different travel packages based on what we think, we have been in operations for the last few years. All right. Can we ask our customers what they want? Let us ask them when they would like to travel. Let's ask them where they would like to travel to. Let's also find out the type of activities they would like to be engaged in when they eventually travel. Let's find out who they are traveling with. Are they traveling alone? Are they traveling with their friends? Are they traveling with their family? And let's also find out their preferred mode of transport. So what this company is trying to do is very simple. Rather than coming up with different, services based on assumptions, they want to ask the customers to tell them where they would like to go to, what they would like to do. So getting feedback from customers so they can tailor their services to meet the specific needs of the customers. And this is the dashboard they were able to come up with. I don't know if you can see it clearly. Let me try to see if I can maximize. Just give me 1 second. And I can see, so if you want to volunteer to show, okay, John wants to volunteer. If there's somebody else, I'd also want a lady. If a lady wants to volunteer as well, please, you can use the raised hand icon or just type something into the chat. So this is also a learning session. So there's no wrong answer. So feel free. There is no mistakes. So let's hear your thoughts and let's see what you have in mind. Okay, so if you want to share, please feel free to use the raised hand icon. Just give me a minute. I want to expand the chat so we can all see it's better. All right, just give me 1 second and I'll share my screen again. Okay, so I think it's better now. It's a bit bolder. All right, so I have, okay, Obiageri is a volunteer. So I'll take John and then I'll take Obiageri. So let's start with John. So John, I would ask you to unmute yourself. All right, I'd ask you to unmute yourself, John. Let me see, I have 2 Johns here. Which one is it? John Wisdom. Okay. So John Wisdom, I would ask you to unmute yourself. Now, from the chart, you can see, John, tell us what the customers have said. Okay. Tell us what you think the customers want. You can go ahead and unmute yourself, John.
I can't see the chart anymore. Please present the chart.
Yes, I'm doing that. I'm presenting it. Can anybody else see my screen? If you can see my screen, please just type yes. I think I'm sharing. Oh, yes, Abdulaziz can see. Oh, sorry about that, John.
Your screen is clear, sir.
Okay. Others can see the screen, John. So sorry about that, John.
It's back. Okay, go ahead. Okay, from the presentation, it shows that the travelers said that they travel more during the December periods because we have a higher response from that December period. And what was this? That oh shit, what's happening to this display? Okay, and they prefer to travel. The 54% of people, of the respondents, decide to travel as individuals, and that means they should prepare more for individual travels. Preferred mode of transport, about 70% of people says they will hire buses or cars. So they will prepare more for people who will be hiring cars and bring less of buses, since there are just 9% of people who want buses.
Fantastic.
And
so John, John, thank you. Let's so that Obiageri would have something to also add. Okay, but that was fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, John. So John clearly showed us that looking at the chart, it's clear that most of the customers said they would like to travel in December. Okay, that's very evident. And also 54% to be traveling individually, and they would prefer to hire a car. 70% said they would hire a car. So this gives us an idea of what the customers want, and it can help us plan what we need to offer to the customers. Okay, so I'm going to take Obiageri and then we'll move on because we have a lot to do today. This is just, a taster, just a warm up. So let me search for Obiageri and ask you to unmute yourself. So Biagiri, go ahead and unmute. Let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Obiagiri, and he's kind of gone through most of it, but I will just add to say that this dashboard shows that more males travel. So we have more guys launching out to go for vacations, and then their most preferred location is Paris. They always like to go to Paris in December or around the holiday time. The next one is Maldives. And so those two locations, if I work with this company, we would package more Paris and Maldives trip around December for our participants or our clients. And then the last one is people like to travel with families more. At least following this dashboard, at least followed by traveling alone during the holidays.
Fantastic.
So I think that's what I can bring out from here. But
That's
I would like
brilliant.
to pick out that there are actually two peak periods. There's one in July and there's one in December.
Brilliant, Obiagiri. I was going to mention nobody saw that. Okay, but you eventually saw it. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Obiagiri and John, for sharing your fantastic ideas with us. That was absolutely brilliant. Okay, now what Obiagiri and John just confirmed to us is, as a data analyst, this is what your job entails. Okay, you get the data, you gather the data from the customers. So how was this data gathered? It was gathered by creating a survey instrument with something as simple as using a Google form. Create a Google form, share it with the customers, and then they fill their responses. But you as the analyst, what do you then do? You connect an analytic tool like Power BI, which was what was used for this particular dashboard. Connect your Power BI to that form. So as the customers are filling their feedback, responding, you are building your dashboard. So it is real time. You can see what the customers are saying real time. Once again, thank you very much, John and Obiagiri. So as an analyst in this company, it's clear we don't need to make weird assumptions. We don't need to just think based on what we feel. The customers have told us what they would like to do. They would like to travel to Paris, especially in the month of July and in the month of December. Those are the two peak periods, like Obiagiri said. And most of them would like to go as individuals, and you have the group also representing 46%. And the mode of transport, they would also like to hire a car. So imagine as a business, you are able to provide these additional services to your travel package. What happens? You get a spike in revenue compared to what you were doing in the past, where you were offering services without thinking of what the customers would need eventually. And this is the role of an analyst. You are taking data that looks like this and you're converting it into a visual that people can see, and you can use that to take a decision. All right. So that's the role of a data analyst, simply put. Now we're going to move very quickly into the skills you need to do all those things, to come up with insights, to extract data. And then I'll show you a practical example of how you can, use your CV, tailor your CV and all of that, leveraging different tools that exist for free. Okay. But the big question is, how do you, complement all your skills? How do you represent it best on the CV? And how do you tailor your CV eventually? As a data analyst, the number one skill you need is problem solving. All right. And problem solving, because a lot of people feel that data analysts only build dashboards. That's what they do every day, build dashboards and so on and so forth. However, problem solving is a fundamental objective as a data analyst. So you need to know how to identify problems. You need to know how to write problem statements. You need to know how to apply different techniques to identifying the root causes of problems, using techniques like the 5 whys to identify root causes. Also breaking down problems into small parts using techniques like the McKinsey-Macy model that helps you break parts into their mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive paths, so that by the time you attack all those small problems, what happens? You solve the entire problem eventually. So problem solving is absolutely critical to a data analyst. And once you've learned problem solving, the next skill is Microsoft Excel for data analytics. A lot of us feel we know Excel and we are superstars in Excel until you move into Excel for analytics. That's a different ballgame entirely. How do you manage data in Excel? How do you summarize your data using different tools like your pivot tools, pivot charts to create charts, and so on and so forth? Why is this very important? It's important because people ask the question, they want to learn everything, which is impossible. So what do you need to learn to get a job anywhere in the world as a data analyst? In the UK, in Canada, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in the US, wherever you are, what do you need to get a job? Problem solving, number one, Excel, number two. Number three is SQL, structured query language. And I can't overemphasize how important SQL is. For anybody who is going into data analytics and you don't know SQL, you are just joking. All right. So SQL is a language that helps you interact with databases. Organizations would have their data in a database, which is a structured environment that keeps data in rows and columns. All right. How do you get the data from that database? How do you analyze the data in the database? And that's where SQL becomes very, very important. All right. In fact, you can't be in a data role without SQL. No company would hire you. Once you know how to interact with databases, you then move to Microsoft's Power BI. And Power BI is an analytic tool that helps with your data visualization. You saw that dashboard that John and Obiageri, helped us to decipher and say, oh, based on what I can see, this is what I would recommend to the company. Let's create travel packages in the month of July and December because that's the period customers have said they would like to travel. You come up with those type of visualizations using Microsoft Power BI. You automate the process. You connect your Power BI to that survey instrument that gathers data. So as people are feeling real time, you are seeing it on the dashboard. All right. Once you've known how to use Microsoft Power BI to do amazing visualizations, you then move into Tableau for data analytics. Now, Tableau and Power BI would pretty much do the same thing with regards to data analytics, data visualization. The beauty of knowing the two is, and we're going to see today, most likely, where you'd see some companies requesting for you to know Tableau. They don't want Power BI, they want you to know Tableau, all right? And you'd see other companies that have a preference for Power BI. So imagine you're a data analyst and you've learned only Power BI and you want to apply to a job and that job requires Tableau. What happens? It means you cannot apply. All right. So it's like the best of both worlds. You have the skill in Microsoft Power BI, for business intelligence, and you also know Tableau as well. All right. So that gives you a wider array of jobs you can apply to. After Tableau, what next? Microsoft Fabric and ChatGPT for data analytics. All right. So these are new trends and technologies, recent trends and technologies that have been introduced into the space. How do you leverage that as a data analyst? How do you leverage these new tools, generative AI tools, as a data analyst to make the best out of your job? We're going to use ChatGPT today to do some amazing stuff. And you'd see why it's critical and important for you to have ChatGPT in your belt, knowing how to use it to get the best out of your job role. Now, what's Microsoft Fabric? People would ask, well, I don't know what Fabric is all about. Now, Microsoft Fabric is it's also a new technology developed by Microsoft, all right? It is an all-inclusive platform that contains the different phases of the analytics ecosystem in one place. So your data analytics, your data engineering, your data science, everything can be done in one environment. So myself and Obiageri can be working in the same company. I'm in the UK, Obiageri is somewhere maybe in Canada, or in Nigeria. Somebody else like John can create a data lake in Microsoft Fabric. I would log into my Fabric account, Obiageri logs into our Fabric account, and we'll both have access to that data lake. I can use Power BI still within the Fabric environment to build my dashboard, while Obiageri can use that same data lake using the Python module inside the Fabric to build something else. So it is an environment for a lot of collaboration as well as an all-inclusive platform. Why is it important for a data analyst? Organizations would start to migrate into Fabric. So you having the skill, knowing how to use Microsoft Fabric, what it's all about, it gives you an edge over somebody else who doesn't have that particular skill. So these are the 6 skills, and people always ask, and some people make the mistake of trying to learn. It's like learning not from the foundation, but learning by, starting from the roof. It's like building a house from the roof. Some people would start from here, from number 5. Not that it is entirely wrong to do this, but you don't have the foundation you need as a data analyst, because the very first foundation is to understand the building blocks of analytics. What is data? What are the different types of data? What is data analytics and the different types of data analytics, from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive analytics and prescriptive? You need to know all those concepts, and you only learn them in your problem-solving class. So from the foundation, you move into the most versatile data analytic tool, which is Microsoft Excel. And this also gives you the building blocks, the foundation. You know how to work with data. You know the different data formats, different data types, and you know how to summarize data using simple tools like pivot tables, pivot charts, and so on and so forth. And you move your way in a structured learning approach from 1 to 6. All right. So these are the skills you need. And I want us to take note of all these skills, because we're going to go online, we're going to search for jobs, and I'll show you how to tailor your CV to those jobs you have. All right. We'll see the jobs on different platforms. We'll look at the skills, the requirements. What are the core requirements of this job, this data analyst job in Canada, or this data analyst job in the UK? Once we've seen that, we'll then see how to tailor our CVs to apply to those different job roles. So if I were you, what I'll do is I'll take a snapshot of this particular page so that I have it right at the back of my mind. Or I take my notes, my pen, and write a note, so that I don't forget. So problem solving, Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Microsoft Fabric, and ChatGPT for analytics. Now, for you to start applying to a job, okay, and I get so many requests, so many questions. Oh, Adesa, can you mentor me? I'm trying to transition. I've tried so many things, but I've not been able to, get a job. One of the major reasons why people don't get jobs is what? Not having the right CV format. So what is the right CV format in the first place? What's the right CV format in the first place? So let's look into that within the next 10 minutes. Having the right CV format, and I see a lot of people with CVs that look like this, which is beautiful, no doubt about it. So it has a picture of the person, it has the person name, you have about me, you have the personal details and everything. It looks fancy, and it looks, it looks very digital and fancy. My question is, and I want to ask, if you have your CV that looks like this, just type a yes in the chat. If your CV looks like what I have on the screen, type a yes in the chat. Okay. Emufe says yes. Steven says yes. Ifeoluwa Joyce. Ineni Collins. Okay. James says no. Now, I've also done this before in the past. All right. I've done this before. And, which is in itself not entirely wrong. But I'll tell you something. It will be very difficult for you to get a job with a big organization using this particular CV format. All right. So what you want to do is avoid having your CV in this format. This is the wrong format that you want to have your CV. Why? there is something called the ATS. There is something called ATS, Applicant Tracking System. Now, most HR information systems, most HR management systems as well, has ATS embedded inside it. What does this mean? It means that when an organization needs to fill a role and they make the vacancy, they make the job, role available on different sites, they can't keep up with all the numerous applications they would receive. So there's a role for a data analyst in Deloitte, for example, or a data analyst in Barclays Bank or in Lloyd's Bank, all right? They'll probably get about 1,000 plus applications. How do they filter those applications? They filter it using the ATS, all right? And the ATS makes use of keywords. And those keywords, if you don't have them on your CV, it yanks your CV out immediately. And that's why sometimes, even before you hit the submit for an application, you'd see that you don't meet the requirements of the job. And CVs like this are not ATS friendly. Where you have so many lines, you have so many things that are underlined, you have pictures and images. Your ATS friendly CV has to look as simple as possible, in a way that if you copy out everything you have on your CV and paste it on a Word document or a notepad, it would appear, serially without any breaks and any formatting issues. So if you have a CV like this, you want to change it because it is not ATS friendly. All right. So all the lines would confuse and break, because a line that ends simply could represent to the ATS that that's the end of a page. And then you have issues with getting your CV, matched properly and getting invited for that interview. And this is how you want your CV to look like. You want your CV to look like this, all right? Not fancy. Yes, it doesn't look fancy, but then it is very functional. Functional in the sense that it is very simple to read. If I copy this and paste on a Word pad, or I paste on a notepad, it would appear serial. It would appear in a serial format for me without any formatting issues. I don't have underlining somewhere and so on and so forth. So don't worry, I'll share the slide with you at the end of the session so you can see things a bit clearer. So if you have your CV like this in this format, type in yes into the chat. If you have your CV in this format, simple, no, you don't have all these very fun, you don't have pictures, images, underlinings, and so on and so forth. And this is called the Wharton CV format. The Wharton CV format. You want to have your CV in this format. Okay, so depending on how you want to structure, you can, if you have your professional experience, and then you have your professional summary at the top, you have your professional experience without underlining, without pictures, and all those things that would confuse the ATS system. And of course, we'll see practically, okay? We'll see practically how this affects the ATS and how you can also tailor your CV to a particular job description you are trying to apply to, all right? Samuel is saying, please, my CV is just like the second CV, but I have underlines. If you can, Samuel, take out those, lines that you have in your CV, okay? It's best to have it as clean and as neat as possible. That would give you a lot of traction compared to CVs that look like the one on the left-hand side. So that's the very first thing I want to highlight, which is your CV should be in the Wharton CV format. It doesn't matter where you are. In Canada, this is the must. Your CV must be in the Wharton CV format. If you're in the UK as well, this would give you the best possible representation when your CV passes through the ATS system. Okay, so take note of that, the Wharton CV format. That's what your CV needs to look like. Now, you want to apply to a job using your CV. How do you tailor your CV to the job description? And this is a major area. Full meaning of ATS. ATS is Applicant Tracking system. Okay, applicant tracking system. Applicant tracking system. Okay, that's what the ATS is. So it's used to track applications for job roles, job vacancies, and it does a match between the job description and your CV, and immediately tells what's the percentage match. Usually, the minimum percentage should be 75% match, but I always advise to take it up to a minimum of 80% or 85% if possible. And we'll do a practical session where we'll see how you can match your CV and how you can also use ChatGPT to improve the keywords you have on your CV. Okay, I'll show you that shortly. So now we want to do what? We want to know how to tailor our CV to job description. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go online, we'll search for a particular job role. We're going to copy the requirements and we'll put it on Jobscan. Okay, I'm going to put it on Jobscan. So Jobscan is one of the most amazing job matching tools you can ever use. All right, so you'd use Jobscan to match your CV with the job you're trying to apply to. But remember, you know the skills you need as a data analyst, because we're always going to circle back to that. So you already know the skills as a data analyst. Knowing the skills, you've learned the skills, you've worked on projects, you now have skills as a data analyst. So you want to look for jobs that requires those skills that you have. Okay, so we're going to look for jobs both in the UK, in Canada, and I'll introduce you to some of the websites that you can also take advantage of. Okay, so but first of all, let's go online and let's copy a particular job description, a job vacancy that is live, and I'll use a sample CV for you. We'll use a sample CV to test and see the match and see how we can improve the match of that CV so that when you apply to the job and the ATS also does a match, you get a higher percentage and you're likely going to get called up for that interview. Jobalytics is also fantastic, Latifat. In fact, Jobalytics is also brilliant. That's the major tool we use internally. Okay, internally in Tenalytics, we use Jobalytics. All right. But I don't want to use, we have a subscription with Jobalytics, so it's not going to be practical for you. So I want to use something that would be anybody else here can use and see how it works. All right, so let's I'm going to open my browser and then let's search for a job role. Now let's check UK Hired. ukhired.com, and I'll post it in the chat, but you have them on the slide already. So, but I'll post the links. Everything Lytics, RMO, yes, Jobalytics, Tenalytics, everything Lytics. Okay, ukhired.com. Now, the reason why I like UK Hired, I'll tell you why. UK Hired, for anybody in the UK if you plan to move to the UK or you're already in the UK, you want to get a job, UK Hired is one of the fantastic websites where you can get sponsored jobs. It shows you companies that have the sponsorship license. All right, that's number one. It also shows you jobs that fall within the shortage occupation list and so on and so forth. That gives you higher scores towards your tier 2 visa. We're not going to go into the details of the different types of visas and so on, but UK Hired gives you that all-in-one information on the jobs available, the jobs you can get, and then apply for your sponsorship visa eventually. So if you're a student on a tier 4 visa and you want to move to a tier 2 visa, which is a skilled worker visa, you can get jobs here on UK Hired. So you can see it says 272 jobs with visa sponsorship. So what I'll do is I'll search. Our focus today is on data analytics, right? Data analysts. So I'll search for data analysts. Okay, I'll search for data analysts, click on that, and you'd see different data analyst roles. Okay, now let's just click on the very first one. It says closing on 16th of September. So I'm going to click on the role, Data Quality Analyst. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but let me tell you, to apply for a skilled worker visa, it is a point-based system. Point-based, meaning that you must meet a particular, point number, which is 70. You must score a minimum of 70 points before you can apply for a skilled worker visa. So how to score the points, that's a session for another day. We've had multiple sessions on that. But what UK Hire does for you is it shows you your points if you apply to a particular role. So you see this data quality analyst. If you apply to this role, you'll see the number of points you score. I'll go to that shortly. Now, it is a permanent position. And what would you be doing in the company? You will drive data improvement and monitoring across the organization, blah, blah, blah. Salary is £55,000 plus 10% bonus and excellent benefits. Location is London and remote working, which is one of the beauties of being in tech. You get to work remotely and enjoy all those things. All right. So what I'm going to do is, let's see the requirements. I'm going to copy all of this. These are the requirements, right? As a data quality analyst, you do what? Measure reports and present your findings. You would use data discovery and analysis tools to check data integrity, blah, blah, blah. But let's look for the tools that are very important, okay? Develop and apply data validation and correction using what? SQL, SQL. Remember SQL, structured query language, one of the skills you need as a data analyst. You can't run away from it. You have to learn it. All right, so let's see. Now, a successful data quality analyst will have strong SQL and excellent Excel knowledge. Okay, strong SQL and Excel knowledge. Excel, SQL, experience carrying out data quality checks, working across data quality frameworks is an advantage. An ability to translate complex data issues simply to non-technical stakeholders. So you see what Obiageri and John did, taking that chart and explaining it and communicating to us what the chart says. That's simply doing what? Translating complex data issues and communicating it to what? Simply to non-technical stakeholders. So imagine you don't know anything about data analytics, but you need to take a decision. Somebody like John and Obiageri would explain clearly what this chart is all about, do the analysis, and tell you what to do. So these are the requirements, okay? We're going to come back here to copy because we need to tailor our CV to this particular job role, all right? Now, I'm going to show you a sample CV that I'll be using for this application. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I would open up the sample CV. All right, and you'd see when you have your CV, so people that have one CV and they use that one CV to apply to 50 jobs and say, oh my goodness, I applied to 50 jobs today. I'm expecting to get a job, but they never get calls for interviews. You'd see the reason why that happens. You see the reason why it happens. Okay, so I'm going to show you a CV that would use to apply to this job. Now, this is a CV, all right, for Cooper Abbott. That's the applicant. Okay, so you have the location, Manchester. Okay, there's an N missing here. So location is Manchester. You have the email, you have the professional summary, the core and technical skills, professional experience. The CV is good in terms of the structure. It follows the Wharton CV format. You don't have pictures and images and all those complex things that could confuse the ATS. Okay, so how do I then apply to a job using this CV? You can't just take this CV, and because you've seen a job opening for data quality analyst, you've seen that, okay, they require somebody with strong Excel skills, strong SQL skills, and you look at your own technical skill. You've said advanced Excel. So if you look at this, you'd see advanced Excel, right? And I'll put it in red, and let me make it bold. So you have advanced Excel, you have SQL for analytics. And because of this, you'd say, I've met the requirement for this job. I'm going to apply to the job. Now let's test. Let's match the CV to that job description and see what happens. So what you want to do, like somebody said, there are different, platforms you can leverage. Job Analytics, Jobscan. There's another one, GetScan UK or something. I've forgotten the name of that. There are so many, platforms you can leverage. So what I'm going to do is I'll use Jobscan. All right, so jobscan.co. So just search for Jobscan and it will bring up something for you. Okay, so I'll go to Jobscan and you can register for free. However, to do so many things, you'd have to, or you'd have to subscribe at some point. Okay, but what I always advise is what you want to do is use Jobscan and ChatGPT hand in hand and see what happens. So what I'm going to do now is I need to scan. So I'll click on New Scan. Okay, so what this does for you is you copy and paste your resume, which is your CV. You're going to paste it here. Now, before you paste your resume, you want to be sure that your resume is in the right format, which is the Wharton format. So if I copy everything here and I paste it, what happens? It doesn't break. You don't see pictures, because how do you copy an image and paste it on that platform? It's difficult to do, right? So I'm going to select everything here, Control A to select everything, and I'll copy Control C. Control A, Control C. All right, and then I'll go back to my browser. I'll paste my resume here, Control V to paste, and you can see everything falls in line. The name, the location, professional summary, core and technical skills. You have the experience, everything is structured. You don't have breaks here and there. So this is the resume. Now let's copy the job requirements. So I'm going to copy from here, which says what the data quality analyst will do. So I'll select this, everything here. I'll come back to explain what this point-based means. I'll select everything here, right click and copy. I'll go back to Jobscan, paste, go to the job description part, and I'll paste Control V. All right. So now what have I done? I've copied the job. I've pasted it here. I've copied my CV. Well, it's not my CV anyways, but it's a sample CV, and I've pasted it here. Okay. Now let us scan. I'm going to click on scan. And let's wait and see what the match would be or what it would look like. All right. Wow, this is actually high. You have a 51% match. Now imagine you apply to this job without checking. It goes through their ATS system and you get 51%. What do you think will happen? Do you think you get called for that job, get called for an interview, or get called for an assessment? The answer is no. Nobody would accept 51%. Nobody would accept, this is a mediocre CV. But guess what? You have fantastic experience. Perhaps you even have more experience than the requirements of the job. But because your CV is not tailored to that job description, what happens? You have a 51% match. And if this is what you have, trust me, you'll never, ever get called for a job. So now that you have seen that it's 51%, let's see where we need to make changes. So you have some tips. The tip says, add this job's company's name and web address. We can help you. That's something else. Contact info. We did not find a phone number. Okay, so if you look at the CV, the phone number was simply, I left it as XXX. So there was no phone number. All right. So it's telling you that it didn't find a phone number. So that's a red flag. It's going to reduce your score. We did not find an address in your resume. Okay. Even though there was an address, it wasn't specific. That's another, point to reduce your score. Now, the job title match. The job title for the job you are trying to apply to says data quality analyst. But your own CV says what? Data analyst. Junior data analyst. Now, you would assume that whoever is reading it can read it and say, oh, data analyst, data quality analyst, they fall within the same area or the same ecosystem. So I should get called for a job, get called for the assessment or interview. Nobody's reading your CV. And that should be the first mentality. A machine is going to read your CV. Okay, the ATS would read your CV at least the first time. Okay, so that's the mindset you must always have. So how do I make it easy for this system to read my CV and match appropriately? So I'm not going to leave my, in my CV, I'm not going to leave my job title as data analyst. What does the job require? Data quality analyst. I'm going to change that. So instead of having data analyst, I'll change it to data quality analyst, because that's the person they're looking for. They're not looking for just a data analyst, even though the requirements, the tools, the techniques that they need from that part for that particular role, a data analyst would apply and do the job absolutely well. Okay, so these are some of the things you'd see. Now let's scroll down a bit. For the hard skills, data quality was mentioned only 2 times in your CV. However, in the job description, it was mentioned how many times? 9 times. Okay, SQL was mentioned 6 times in your CV. Okay, job description 2, so that's good. Now, monitor data is not in your CV, but is in the job description. Data integrity is not in your CV, but in the job description. Quality controls, not in your CV, but in the job description. So you need to add all these things: monitor data, data integrity, quality controls. Now, what I'm going to do, because we don't have all the time to do everything, in the nitty-gritty, what we're going to do is I'm just simply going to add monitor data, data integrity, quality controls. So, okay, before I do that, let's scroll down a bit and see more. But all these things are things you need to take note of. Okay, so monitor data is on the CV, is on the job description, is not on your CV. So it means that that's why your CV has a 51% match. There are things on the job description that you don't have on your CV. Let's go down a bit more and let's see if there are other things. Okay, so let's just take note of this, all right, where we have the X's and would make changes. Now, what you can do is you can go back to your CV and start to make the changes yourself. Okay, so where you have the job description here, instead of data analyst, you can call it data quality analyst, because that's the job title. And then you can add something to your CV that says monitor data, data integrity, and those things you don't have. So you add lines on your CV. But again, because there are tools to make your life easy, all right, there are new technologies that makes these things easy. You would come back to review, but let's give it to ChatGPT and let's tell ChatGPT to help us solve this problem. Okay, so if you've not heard of ChatGPT before, type a yes into the chat. If you've not heard of ChatGPT before, type a yes into the chat. If you've not heard of it, I want to know people that have not heard. Okay, so Charles, Dankart, Abiodun, which is fine. It's okay if you've not heard about it. But after today's session, you must use ChatGPT, okay? Because you'd see how amazing it is. And I'll show you now how you can use ChatGPT to solve this problem that we have. So I don't want to sit down and crack my head and say, I want to tailor my CV, one by one. Because imagine you want to apply to, what we always advise at Analytics is apply to a minimum of 10 jobs every day. It can be more, but it must not be less than 10. So if you're trying to get a job and you're not applying to up to 10 jobs in a day, you are wasting your time. Even the best of the best, people that are highly qualified in terms of years of experience and so on and so forth, they would still have to do what? Apply to a minimum of 10 jobs, because what that does for you is it increases your chances. So you can't start tailoring your CV one by one, looking at the job description on one side and you typing on the other side. No. And that's where ChatGPT comes into play. All right. So ChatGPT is easy to use. Okay. It's one of the things that, just give me 1 second. So for those that haven't used ChatGPT before, what you need to do is simply go to your browser and just simply type ChatGPT. Okay, just type ChatGPT and you see how to register, log in and all of that. You go to OpenAI. If you go to openai.com, it takes you to this particular website and then you click on try ChatGPT. It would ask you to enter your username, your email, password, and then you get access. All right, these are for people that haven't used ChatGPT before. But if you've used it, then all you have to do is go to ChatGPT, enter your username, your password, and then you can use the platform. Now, what are we going to do with ChatGPT? We're going to tell ChatGPT to look at this particular job description and look at my CV. Tell me where my CV is lacking with regards to the keywords that you have on the job description. Please just give me a second. Let me close my video. Right. Sorry about that, guys. Let's continue. So we're going to tell ChatGPT to do all the hard work, the heavy lifting for us. What we'll do is just to review and cross the T's, dot the I's, and ensure everything is fine. So now let's get ChatGPT to work. And this is where ChatGPT, like I always say, is one of the most amazing things. And when people say, oh, will AI take my job? Am I going to lose my job because of AI? The people that would lose their jobs are those that cannot complement their skills, that cannot complement the skills they have with the new trends coming up. And that's why getting into tech is one of the best things you can ever do at this point in time. Okay. So first of all, let's say hello to ChatGPT. Okay. So hello. All right. We want to be nice. ChatGPT is always very positive. So the response is, hello, how can I assist you today? And for the people that don't know what ChatGPT does, it's simply a generative tool, AI tool that gives human-like responses based on the text you send. So it's like chatting with a personal assistant. I always take ChatGPT as my technical assistant to help me solve problems. All right. So I sent in hello. It says, hello, how can I assist you today? All right. So I'm going to say that, please, I'm polite, compare the keywords in this job description. Okay, compare. I don't know if you can all see my screen clearly. Let me see if I can maximize. All right, so compare the keywords in this job description. And I'm going to, leave 2 quotes, open and close the quotes, because I'm going to paste my job description in between. All right, so please compare the keywords in this job description and tell me which is missing or which keyword is missing on my CV. Okay, and then I'm going to put another quote for my CV. All right, so ChatGPT, do all the hard work for me. So now I'll go back to this to the job description. Okay, let's go back to the job description. I'll copy it one more time, copy the job description, and I'll go back to my ChatGPT. Okay, and I'll paste it in between the first quotes. All right, so please compare the keywords in this job description, open quotes, paste it in, close the quotes, and tell me which is missing on my CV. All right, so I'll copy my CV again and I'll paste it in there. All right, so copy my CV. So I'm going to remove this data quality. So let's not make the changes yet. So Control A, copy everything, Control C. So Control A is to select, and I'll copy Control C, or right click and copy, and then I'll go back to ChatGPT and I'll paste it in there. Control V. All right, so this is my CV, and I'll send or hit enter. And let's see ChatGPT do the work. ChatGPT will do the work for us. Okay, so this is the heavy lifting. All right, so let's see what ChatGPT has said. Your CV seems to cover many of the skills and experiences mentioned in the job description for the data quality analyst position, but there are a few points that you might want to consider highlighting or adding to your CV to align it more closely to the job requirements. All right. Number one, data quality framework experience. Number two, root cause investigation. Number three, communication with stakeholders. Number four, data quality metrics and control. 5, data validation and correction. 6, DSG preparation and coordination. 7 is equity and accessibility. So ChatGPT has recognized or identified the keywords that you have in the job description that you don't have on your CV, with explanation telling you that the job description mentions that working experience across a data quality framework is advantageous. Okay, so now that ChatGPT has, giving us the areas that we need to take note of and add to our CV, I want ChatGPT to also tell me how to write it. So how do I write those responsibilities? For example, how do I write that I performed data quality framework experience, or I have it? So I'm going to tell ChatGPT that write how I can include job responsibilities, to include these missing keywords. Okay, so ChatGPT has given us the missing keywords already. So how can I include these missing keywords and qualifications? All right. So tell me, how can I write it? How can I include these include these missing keywords and qualifications in my job responsibility? And I'll send it. Okay. Okay, so it's writing it in the form of a code. Writing my CV for me, you can see what it has written. Now, what I can do is I can copy this. I'll copy. Just click on copy. Okay, copy. I would open Control New to open a new page, and I'll paste it in here. So let's paste it and see. All right, let's paste it and what? Let's see. My professional experience. What did ChatGPT do for me? It added those things that were not in my CV before. And let's see some of them. If you notice, it says what? Actively participated in preparing for data steering groups, DSGs, facilitating seamless communication and progress tracking of actions and issues to stakeholders. Now, this was never in my previous responsibility as a data analyst. Let's look at the previous CV. If I go back to the previous CV, I only had what? 1, 2, 3. Only 3 key responsibilities. But what did ChatGPT do for me? It added the other responsibilities. All right. And you can see it's added where we mentioned root cause analysis. Look at the root cause analysis. I'm going to highlight this in red. Root cause analysis. This wasn't there before, but it's one of the things ChatGPT has said that we need to consider. Okay, root cause investigation. We need to add it to our CV. Now, what I'm going to do is that new CV generated by ChatGPT, I'm going to use that. I'll copy and I'll paste it again on Jobscan. And let's do another search and see if it improves the score or not. Okay, but also remember that Jobscan has given you areas that you should make improvements. So let's go to the CV. This is what ChatGPT has given us from the professional experience. So I'm going to take all of this from my professional experience and then I'll paste it again on Jobscan. All right. So let's go back to Jobscan and we're going to just do this very quick test. And we have so many other things to do. Now, this is the scan we did the first time, and I'll go back because I want to edit my scan. Okay, so everything from this professional summary, I'm going to copy the new CV ChatGPT just generated. But there is a caveat, and always take note of this. ChatGPT is not a perfect system. It does amazing work for you, but it is not what? Perfect. So you want to review what it has given you. Okay, so you do the review. So it does all the work for you, but then you do the review. So I'm going to copy this, Control A, Control C, which is what ChatGPT just generated. I'll go back to my Jobscan. Everything from professional summary, I'm going to paste. Let's see. So just give me 1 second so I don't remove things I had. So we have education projects. All right. So I'll select everything here and I'll paste the new one ChatGPT just gave me. All right. And then let's scan again and see. Let us scan again and let's see the results. We haven't even implemented what Jobscan has given us. It's still 51% because we haven't changed some of the things Jobscan gave to us. Monitor data, data integrity, quality controls. So the last thing I'll do is I'm going to add those new areas. Okay, so I'll just come here and I would say I monitored the data transformation process. Monitor data transformation process in the company. Okay, so I'm just writing things without, just to include those things that, were not there before. Ensured data integrity and quality control checks. Okay. Phone number was not there. I'm going to add a phone number, which were some of the things that were not in the previous, on my current CV. All right, so we put that there. And what else did we not add? So let's just make those changes that were not there before. And let's scan again. I think I have just one more scan left. But let's see if this would make any difference from what we had before at 51%. So it moved a little bit to 55, okay, because we had added the things that were not there before. It moved to 55. Every single thing. So again, it has showed us that monitor data, quality controls. So it hasn't recognized this part. You need to fix it every single time you see things that were not there before, that you eventually find that this Jobscan has given you as outliers that you don't have on your CV. Okay, so you must add all these things. And by making a few changes, what happened? It moved to 55. First one was 51, second 51, the third one is 55. You must keep updating. You must keep updating your different responsibilities until you get your match rate to a minimum of what? 80% or 85 for better, result eventually. So you must bring it to 85. Now, Jobscan will tell you that 75 is the target that you need to get to. But what you want to ensure that you do is to bring it to a minimum of 80% or 85 if you can. And that gives you, the best possible chance of getting called for an interview or getting called for an assessment eventually. Now you can see the job title. We didn't change the job title. Let's change the job title to data quality. I don't know if I still have another scan left. Okay, so I'm going to change this to data quality. And let's see if that helps. Data quality analyst. And I'm going to scan again. Oh, it's telling me I've reached my quota. It's telling me I've reached my quota for scans. So again, Jobscan also, you can do 5 scans. Once you've done 5, you need to upgrade. But whenever it gives you this, what do? You can open, if you have another email, you have multiple emails, so you can always get free scans. So let me try with a different email. And let's just do the scan one more time before we move into other areas. All right. Jobscan. let's do a very quick scan. Okay. One second. I don't want to have to subscribe here. All right. Just give me 1 second, please. Jobscan CV, Jobscan resume, and job description match. Okay, so let's scan the resume. Let's just do it here. I'm going to paste, copy and paste from the other place where we just left. So let's copy this, Control C, Control V. So I'm using a different email, which is something you can use once you've gone through. So let's add the job here. All right. So I'll go copy the job again, Control C, come back here and I'll paste it here, Control V. Okay, and let's scan. So create an account. Okay, I'm just going to create one with Google very fast so that we can get into it. So this is how you use tools that are available for you to tailor your CV. And once we are done with this, what I'll show you now is a lot of people would say, sorry about that. I don't know why this is coming up like this, but just let's try it one more time and see. If not, we'll move on to the other aspects of our session for today, which is, I don't have experience. How do you navigate that path? But what we've seen here clearly is we've seen tools like Jobscan and ChatGPT that can help us to do what? To look through our CV, identify keywords that are not available, and help us do a match, right? This still gave us 55%. Okay. It still gave us 55%. Let me see how many. Sorry, it still gave us 55%. So it's telling us that add this jobs company name and website, monitor data and quality control. So these two major things that needs to be addressed, we haven't addressed them yet. So addressing it would give us an improvement on our CV scan eventually. Now, for you to see other aspects of what they want to recommend to you, you have to do what? You need to upgrade, but we don't want to upgrade. Now, and this is where you will then come in as a human being, not any generative AI tool, and look at the job description. And once you've addressed the areas of monitor data, you've addressed the areas of quality control, looking at the job description, what else haven't you addressed? Okay, the job didn't specify a preferred degree, so any degree you put in there really doesn't matter. All right, now if we add the company's name, if we have the company's name and the company's board, job, board, what happens is Jobscan would go there and see their own specific requirements with regards to their ATS requirements, and then it will give us more feedback on that. But we don't have all the time for that. The last thing I'm going to show you before I leave here is I'm going to tell ChatGPT, thank you. I want you to come up with a cover letter that I can use to apply to this job role. And this is, some roles would require a cover letter. So if you need a cover letter, what do? Thank you. I want you to come up with a cover letter that I can use to apply for this job role. So I'm telling ChatGPT to help me write a cover letter, and I need this to apply to this job role. So it's going to come up with this. Okay, and let's see a sample cover letter. But if it doesn't come up with exactly what we want, we copy the job description again and we put it in ChatGPT to say, give me a compelling cover letter. So let's see what ChatGPT has come up with. I'll paste it here. And then I can start to tailor everything that I have. All right. So you can see you enter your name, your address, and the recipient who you are sending this to. Now, looking at this is absolutely fantastic. What ChatGPT has done is to look at the job requirements and look at your own CV and come up with a cover letter for you. I'm writing to express my strong interest in the data quality position at the company's name as advertised. With over 5 years experience as a data analyst, I'm excited about the opportunity to bring my experience in data quality assurance and analytics skills to contribute to your team's success. So all the things you've done in terms of your achievements, your track record, everything has been addressed. Review, adjust where you need to adjust, and then you have a cover letter you can submit to accompany your CV in applying to the role. And this is how you can start to tailor your CV, all right? Using tools that exist to help you identify areas that you require, additions, you require tweaking on your CV before you apply to that job role. Now that you've seen how you can compare, and I'm not just going to throw my CV at any application without going through it carefully and seeing where I can make adjustments. You need to know where to apply to jobs. So where are the jobs in the UK and in Canada? In the UK, like I said, UK Hired is one of the major places you want to always go to. And the reason why you always want to go to UK Hired to search for a job is because it gives you all the details you need with regards to the point-based system, if this particular job will give you an opportunity in getting a tier 2 visa. And I would explain, we've looked for the data quality analyst role. Now, you've seen all the requirements. The job needs you to have strong SQL and Excel knowledge. And looking at the points, if I apply to this job and I get the job, I'll get 60 points. Remember that I mentioned that to apply for a tier 2 skilled worker visa, you need 70 points. So how do you get 70 points to apply to this job? Applying to the job gives you 60 points because the job is on the appropriate skill level. The job is from a licensed sponsor. This means that the company that is recruiting has the license to sponsor you in the UK. And for those who don't know what a tier 2 visa is a visa that allows you to stay in the country. And if you work for 5 years under that visa, you can apply for an indefinite leave to remain, which means you can remain in the UK permanently without requiring a visa to come in and go out. And after 1 year on your ILR, indefinite leave to remain, you can then apply for citizenship. And that's why a lot of people want to always transition into this particular visa path, which is the tier 2 visa. And to apply for the tier 2 visa, you need 70 points. So UK Hired is telling you that if you apply to this job, it gives you 60 points. Okay, how do you get the other 10 points? Now, if you come down here, it's saying that how can you score additional points? Number one, if you have an English language proficiency test like the IELTS, or if you're a master's student in the UK, it means you fulfilled the requirements of English language automatically. That's the meaning. If I click on this box, it gives me additional 10 points. So I'm going to get my 70 points to apply for the tier 2 skilled worker visa. All right. Now, if you are also switching from a UK student, so if you are a student in the UK and you are switching from your visa, your tier 4 student visa to a tier 2 visa, it gives you 20 points automatically. All right. If you are under the age of 26, you also have 20 points. So let's imagine that you are a student in the UK and I click on this box. Oh, I'm a student and I'm switching from my student visa to a tier 2 visa. So I click on this box. It says what? Congratulations, you now have 80 points and can apply for the skilled worker visa. So you can see that from 60 over 70, you now have 80 over 70. And that's the beauty of UK Hired. It shows you the type of jobs you apply to. So you're not applying to jobs, just anyhow. You are strategically positioning yourself. The type of jobs you're applying to, if there are jobs that can give you the type of visas you want at the end of the day. So we can check another job very quickly. Let's see, Data Analyst with the Surrey Council. If I right click on this, open in a new tab. Okay, sorry. If I just click on that job, this one, it also shows us. Okay, if I scroll down here, what do you need to get this job? Could this be you? We are looking for somebody who can interpret quantitative data, large data, apply SQL skills, Microsoft Excel, Tableau, SQL. Okay, FME. What is FME? FME is simply feature manipulation engine, which is an ETL tool. ETL is a part of database fundamentals, which you learn under SQL. All right. So if you can use data analysis and visualization tools like Microsoft Excel, Tableau, and SQL. All right. And these are the skills from 1 to 6 that I listed. These are the skills you learn. So if I apply to this job as well, what happens? I get 60 points. Okay. So how do I get the 70 points I need to get a skilled worker visa? Very simple. I'm switching from a UK student to a graduate visa. If I'm a student, I click on this point. If I have IELTS, I've written IELTS, and I click on that, I have additional 10 points, and that gives me my 70 points. And I can go ahead and apply for a skilled worker visa. Now, these things are very, very crucial and are very, very important. One other website I'm going to show you, and there are so many on my slide. Okay, you have UK Hired, you have gov.uk, you have read.co.uk. And I'd love to show you gov.uk because there are so many jobs available there, but we don't have all the time. I'll show you read.co.uk because this is another fantastic website and how you can also search and filter for different jobs. Okay, so let's go to Read and let's see how to apply to jobs on read.co.uk. So you go to read.co.uk. I'm going to drop it in the chat so that, okay, I don't need to sign in. I don't know why it's asking me to sign. Read.co.uk. Yes. So it brings this website. I'm going to drop that into the chat. I'll take questions. We're going to take questions before we leave today. All right. I'll take all the questions you have. Yeah, Canada. I'm going to show you as Canadians. Okay. Well, how can you apply to jobs? That's the second part. All right. The CV, tailoring your CV applies to everybody. The company would not know that you have used ChatGPT. They would not know at all. But that's why it's also important for you to do what? For you to review. ChatGPT would help you, all right? But you also want to ensure that you review some of the things, and so it looks more human. Dr. Efelua is saying add address. Yes, I didn't add the address, and that's why the address is not specific. It's part of the reasons why the score did not go up, okay? All right, so let's move on. So this is read.co.uk. And what we are going to do is we're going to look into jobs as data analysts, all right? And I'll show you what makes read.co.uk even very fantastic. So I'm not going to select any location. And of course, you can tailor it towards, if you're in London, you are in Birmingham, you can tailor it, but I'm going to take out the location. I don't want to specify any location, and I'll click on search. Okay, so there are different roles, but we're going to look for roles that are, the most recent roles. So let's say something in August. All right, let's look for something in August and see. I'm going to look for an August role. There are so many data analyst roles, but let's look for something around August. 5 days ago, this is, okay, so let's check this out. All right, and what does this say? It's a contract job, and contract jobs are also fantastic. One of the things I like about Reed is you can filter for so many type of roles. If you want to work from home, contract jobs, and also one fantastic filter you have is what? Visa sponsorship. Okay, which a lot of people would be interested. So if I click on visa sponsorship, for example, it would filter all the roles and show me roles that have visa what? Sponsorship. And I can check for the most recent ones and I can select those ones. So let's take for it. This one has visa sponsorship and let's look at it and see what the job requires. So it's a data analyst role, 35 to 45,000 pounds in Derbyshire. It's hybrid, which means that you can work from anywhere. Okay. Now, what do you need in this role? Advanced experience in Excel. Okay. Excellent knowledge in SQL. All right. Collect, clean, and validate data from different sources, and so on and so forth. And you can start to apply to these job roles. One of the mistakes people make is they make assumptions without actually checking and doing their research. Oh, there are no jobs available. I need to know how to use MongoDB. I need to know how to use Spark. I need to know how to use this as a data analyst. But all you need to do, go to these sites that offer the jobs, search for the jobs, look through the job requirements and see what is required. What does this company need? Do I have the skills? From 1 to 6, do I meet the requirements? If I do, go ahead and apply. Take, for example, all you need to apply to this job is what? Microsoft Excel, SQL, and that's it. Microsoft Excel, SQL. Let's see if they mentioned any business intelligence tool like Power BI. So they didn't mention Power BI, outrightly, but they've said what? You will apply tools and techniques for data analysis and data visualization, including the use of business information tools. So let's assume they're talking about BI, Power BI, Tableau, and so on and so forth. So you having that skill, you can apply to this job, which also comes with visa sponsorship. So just before I move to Canada, the last one I'll show you is gov.uk, which is the UK government website where you can apply to jobs as well. Gov.uk. Okay, you click on find a job. So when you go to gov.uk, click on find a job. Start now. Search for the job that you want. All right, data analysts. Let's search for data analyst jobs. So what you want to also do is to check for jobs that were posted recently. Okay, very recent jobs. You want to search for those type of jobs. So let's just scroll down and see. Let's check this one out. Okay, again, you want to look at the salary. So what's the salary like? What do you think you can get out of this? Now, salary is between 175 to 400 pounds per day. 175 to 400 pounds per day. Okay, it was posted on the 10th, which was 2 days ago, very recent. You want to apply to jobs that are very recent. Okay, the job is in Cardiff, and this is also something I'm just quickly going to mention. A lot of people want to get jobs and remain where they are in terms of their location. And we always advise our people, our participants, if you want to get a job, you must be open to moving. You must be open to relocating. So if you live in Birmingham, you want to move to London. If you live in London, you want to move to Manchester, you must be open to relocating. This is in Cardiff, for example. All right. So what does the job entail? So what are you going to be doing? Your role would be a senior data analyst, and you'll be responsible for leading data projects in the company. Extensive advanced Excel experience, Excel. What else? Let's see. Experience in managing and leading large projects. And your pay is starting at 200 pounds per day, which is actually low if you compare to some other jobs available. 200 pounds is actually low. So what do you need? Advanced Excel, pivot tables, charts, and so on. Okay, so again, you'd see this job that requires you to have nothing more than advanced Excel. And I'll share some, people, the story of some people that have been able to get jobs with only Excel. So that's why when people come and say, oh, this company is looking for heaven and earth, that job is not for you. All right, because organizations would always want to get the best with the little or the smallest amount, possible. All right, they want you to know heaven and earth, but they want you to do the job of a data analyst, a data engineer, a data scientist, everything, a data architect, but they want to pay you the salary of just a data analyst. So your focus would be on the companies that require the skills that you have as a data analyst. Okay, so I'm going to leave it. We've looked at UK Hired, we've looked at read.co.uk, we've looked at gov.uk, and there are so many jobs you can check. Okay, you might want to also look at the salary, and that would inform what you eventually decide to go for. Contract jobs are things that people, are jobs that people ignore, but these are jobs that would give you amazing salaries, especially if you are in the UK. Now, let's look at some jobs in Canada. Okay, let's look at some jobs in Canada, and then I'll come back to take questions, and then we'll call it a day. Now, in Canada, there are so many other websites you can also apply to jobs, and you have them on the slide. All right, you have Monster. Monster is one of my favorites, and then the Job Bank, jobbank.gc.ca. Okay, we're going to look at Monster. We're going to look at Job Bank. Most of the jobs you'd find on Job Bank would redirect you to Monster. All right, so let's check. First of all, we're going to check Monster, and then we're going to check the Job Bank. If we have time, we'll check Indeed, ca.indeed.com, ca.indeed.com. Maybe we can even start from there. Okay, so let's go to ca.indeed.com. All right, so this would give you jobs specific to Canada. I'm going to drop that in the chat. Can I do remote jobs? Absolutely. Tayo, I'll show you where to apply to remote jobs as well. You have them on my slide. Okay, so let's search for data analyst. Data analyst. But the thing about remote jobs is, as you want to get a remote job in, let's say in Canada, most remote jobs in Canada would want you to be in the country. So even though you're working remotely, they want you to be in the country. Okay, so let's check. This is a revenue analyst, data analyst. Let's click on this, $40 to $50 per hour. Let's look at the job role itself. Okay, so it's a data analyst role. Where's the location? The location is remote, all right? But if you look through the other aspects of the job, they might actually require you to be in the country. Most of the jobs in Canada would work that way. They want you to be in the country, even though you get to work remotely. So let's look at the skills required for this particular job, all right? So it's saying that your top three must have hard skills, which are your technical skills. You must have experience working with data in Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. Okay, ability to multitask and strong relationship management, working with people and so on. Okay, good to have. And this is something you also need to take note of. Must have and good to have are two different things. Must have and nice to have are two different things. Must have skills are the skills you must have to apply to this job. All right, so you must have Excel to apply to this job. You must have the ability to multitask on high volume tasks. You must also have strong relationship management skills to apply to this job. That is what must have. Now, good to have means if you don't have, you can still make the cut. Okay, if we don't get anybody that has the good to have. So the good to have means experience using data visualization tools like Tableau, experience with what? SQL. Okay, big tech or corporate experience, comfortable with ambiguity, and you work in a fast-paced environment. So this is what? Good to have. If you don't have it, you still get a job, but you must have the what? The must-have skills. So for this job, for example, you can go ahead and what? Apply. And this is a fantastic website, okay? We can check for other ones, revenue analysts. And this is something we also teach people when you join us at Tenalytics. If you're applying to data analyst roles, your focus is not only on data analyst job titles. No. When you start, first of all, by narrowing your search, by typing data analyst, the next step would be to broaden the search by typing only analyst in the search bar. Okay, so you want to look for different job nomenclature because you'd have different job nomenclature, but they require the skills you have as a data analyst. So this is a revenue analyst, for example, and you get to work with WestJet Vacations revenue team. Okay, and let's look at the job requirements. What do you need to have here? Key deliverables include what you're going to manage this. You're going to provide recommendations. I'm trying to see if they've specified the tools that you need to have. It hasn't been specified, all right? So this also shows a role that requires revenue what? And not a revenue analyst. So you'll be working with the commercial team where you'd be helping to optimize revenue of that particular company. They haven't specified a tool. Maybe if you go to the company's website, you'd see something in there. So ca.indeed.com is a fantastic site for those who are trying to get jobs in Canada. We're also going to check Monster. Okay, we'll check monster.com. We'll also check GC, the jobbank.gc.ca. And I think that's the last thing we'll be doing. And for those that don't have experience, I'll show you what to do very quickly. Okay, so let's check Monster, monster.ca. Okay, and this is where you'd also get so many jobs if you are in Canada. This is tailored towards the Canadian job market. The Canadian job market, monster.ca. So I'm just simply going to type data analyst. All right, so let's check data analyst roles and let's see. Accept all cookies. And I'm going to search for data analyst. So business analyst, data analyst 2. I want something that was posted recently. Okay, this was posted today. So let's check this and see what the role entails. So this particular job was posted on the 10th of August, all right, which was 2 days ago. And let's see what the role is all about. What are the responsibilities? What would you do as a data analyst working with Morgan Stanley? All right, so you're going to partner different organizations and develop KPIs, but let's see what they want you to have. All right, let's see what they want you to have. All right, so these are the skills. Proficiency with data warehouse and BI tools. All right, proficiency with data warehouse and BI tools. When you hear data warehouse and you hear BI, it's all about SQL and SQL, Power BI, Tableau. SQL, Power BI, Tableau. So they've said proficiency with data warehouse and BI tools such as SQL, Excel, Power BI, Dataiku, Tableau, Snowflake, and Pendo. So Snowflake is a cloud-based data warehouse system or a cloud-based data ETL system. So it helps you build your schemas that you use in your data warehouses on your database. So it's a type of database itself, Snowflake. Same with Dataiku. Tableau is a BI tool, like we mentioned earlier. Power BI is also a BI tool. And then you have Excel, you have SQL. All right. So when you hear business intelligence and when you hear data warehousing, it cuts across the entire value chain of SQL, Power BI, Tableau, and other ETL systems that are available. So how do you apply to this job? Straightforward, you'd see that as a data analyst with all the skills we listed from 1 to 6, you can go ahead and apply to this particular job role. And monster.ca, like I said, gives you access to so many jobs out there if you are in Canada. Okay, now, how do you apply to jobs that are within the Canadian government website? And that's the jobbank.gc.ca. Okay, so jobbank.gc.ca. Okay, jobbank.gc.ca. And that's where you can search for jobs that are within the Canadian, government website. So you'd see that the Government of Canada, and then you can search different, job roles. I'm going to search for data analyst roles, and I'll click on search. Okay, so you can start to search for the jobs available. And again, don't shy away from checking jobs that says database analysts and data administrators. It doesn't say data analysts, but you check and see. So let's check this and see what this requires and if we can actually apply to this job role. And like I mentioned, most of the job roles on the Canadian government website takes you to Monster, which we're just coming from. So for you to view the full job description, if you click on this, it takes you into Monster, and then you can see the full job description. You can see the full job description. Okay, let's see. It's a bit tiny. It's a bit tiny, but let's see what they want for this particular role. So responsibilities, you're going to be creating a data migration plan for this company. So it's a company that probably wants to move data from one system into another system. And when you are doing that, your SQL skills has to be on point. You also need to know how to work with ERP systems and ERP systems or CRM systems within organizations, like your customer relationship management systems, your enterprise resource tools, and so on. So this needs you to have 5 years experience working in IT, 5 years experience working with SQL or other RDBMS technology. So SQL Server, which is the Microsoft version of your SQL, okay? Or there are so many other RDBMS. These are technical jargons. Well, what does RDBMS means? Relationship Database Management Systems. Relational, I beg your pardon, I said relationship. Relational Database Management Systems. That's what RDBMS means. So your SQL is the language you're going to learn, and you can apply SQL to multiple RDBMS. Microsoft SQL Server is one type of RDBMS. PostgreSQL is another type of RDBMS. Oracle DB2 is another type of RDBMS. Okay, so they're simply telling you that you need experience with Microsoft SQL Server or any other RDBMS that you're familiar with. Okay, so these are the major things you need to have. You need to have SQL because it's a data migration project where you'll be moving data from one location to another location. So once you look at the different, requirements of the job, it then becomes easy for you to apply to these type of jobs. Okay, so when I hear people saying that there are no jobs are not available, it's always very funny to me. And this is one of the reasons why people that have joined our program have been so successful in landing jobs, because right from when you are done with your Excel class, you start to apply to jobs. You don't wait until you are done with the entire program, learning all the tools. All the jobs we've been looking at so far, they need Excel, they need SQL, they need Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. We've not seen a particular job role that requires 6 or 7 skills that you need as a data analyst. But then the process comes from where you apply to the job, how you apply to the job, how your CV is, and checking all the things you need to do to ensure that you're applying to the job and getting the best possible outcome when it comes to the ATS and so on and so forth. Okay. So again, for those asking for remote jobs, we're not going to go into that in detail, but some of the best websites to get remote jobs in tech, my favorite is remote.co, this, and then Well-Found. Okay, so Well-Found, I love Well-Found simply because, and I would advise you to also look into Well-Found. Well-Found would show you startups. Okay, startups that probably just gotten funding and they're working on amazing projects. So they have most of their employees in distributed, they operate distributed systems of employees across different locations. So what that does for you is you can be in Nigeria and get a job working for a company in the US without any visa requirements or without needing to be in that particular country. Again, Upwork is another site, is a freelance website where you get to work on freelance projects and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, I wanted to show something very quickly, but we are out of time. All right. So I'm not going to be able to show you this, which is I have experience. So maybe I'll do it very quickly. A lot of people have this problem. So the session today is tailored towards addressing some of the problems that people face, which is, oh, my CV, what format should I use? Today, you know the format to use, the Wharton CV format. That's the format you want to use. How to build your CV is a different program. We can't teach everything in one session. How do you write your responsibilities appropriately? But always remember this when you're writing your job responsibilities. I used X to build Y to achieve Z. I'll say that again. I used X to build Y to achieve Z. And how does that play? I used X to build Y to achieve Z. I used Excel, or I used Microsoft Excel to build a linear regression model that helped to increase sales by 50%. Okay, so when you're writing your job responsibilities, you don't want to just write it anyhow. Follow this method. I used X to build, build with an L, build Y to achieve Z. All right, so what's your X? I used Excel, or I used Power BI or Tableau. I leverage my Tableau skills to build a dashboard, or I used Excel to build a linear regression model, or I used Power BI to develop a dashboard that helped us to achieve Z, which is what? Revenue increase of 50%. Okay, so, writing your responsibilities on your CV is another very critical aspect, but we can't go into everything today because of time. Before I talk about the program, the data analytics program, a lot of people would say that I have worked in the bank for 5 years and I cannot get a job in Canada because the companies need Canadian work experience. And I always say that's nonsense. What does Canadian work experience mean? Or UK work experience? What does it mean? And people use this as an excuse to take menial jobs that ordinarily they would not do. And I asked them the question, okay, you want to be a data analyst, for example, and you say that the companies would not accept Canadian work experience, but then you go start doing a job, doing Deliveroo or doing Uber or working as a cleaner. How does that help you as Canadian work experience to getting a job as a data analyst? It doesn't help you in any way, and it makes no sense. So the strategy is simple. The moment you cannot defend the skills you have to a potential recruiter, you get issues around, oh, no Canadian work experience, and so on and so forth. But the moment you can showcase a portfolio that has wonderful projects that you've worked on as a data analyst. That gets you into the room. And we've had so many, people, and that's why I tell you that Canadian work experience it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't exist. People create that as a way to give themselves comfort for not getting the job. Now, else, how do you explain for somebody who has never been in data analytics, moved from First Bank in Nigeria to Canada, and then applied to a job in a company as a data analyst, and he got the job with fantastic salary, very close to 6 figures, right? And when I say very close to 6 figures, I mean about 100,000 Canadian dollars per annum, close to that, very close. So how do you explain it? How do you explain somebody who got a job with a national bank in Canada without having to work as a data analyst in his life? So what does Canadian work experience mean? It only means that you don't have the skills to do what convinces the employer to get a job. Same with UK experience. A fresh graduate from the university getting a job with the NHS as a data analyst, which comes with sponsorship. And I'll share their stories with you. They are all on my slides. Okay, so I have no experience. I've not done this before. How do I tailor my CV? I've worked as a teacher in a school. Now I have learned data analytics. How do I take my skills as data analytics and complement my teaching experience? Because I've worked as a teacher in the past. So what do I do? Very simple. You've worked as a teacher in the last 5 years, right? All you need to do, now that you know data analytics, you've worked on so many projects, you can defend your skills in data analytics. Add data analytics to your previous years of experience. So you're not going to present yourself as a newbie or 1 year or 5 months in data analytics, or you present yourself to a potential recruiter that you are just learning data analytics. No, I have worked in data analytics for the last 5 years. And how do you do that? Very simple. Tailor your CV. Right? And I don't know if we can do this in the next 5 minutes because let's see, ChatGPT can help us do this. Okay, so I'll do it in 5 minutes and then I'll run through my slides and I'll take questions and then we'll call it a day. Let's go to ChatGPT one more time. I've worked as a teacher for the last 5 years. Okay, but now I have learned data analytics. What do I do? I'm going to use ChatGPT again. I'll open a new chart. All right, and let's open up a sample CV for a teacher. Okay, a sample CV for a teacher, and then we'll search for a job. So let's go to the job we just checked for, this data migration analyst for this company in Canada. I'll copy up the responsibilities. Okay, I'll copy this. I'm going to copy this because I'll need it. I'll copy it and I'll go back to ChatGPT and I'll type in here that I am applying to this role as a data migration analyst. Is that what it is? Let's see. What's the job title? Data migration analyst. I'm applying as a data migration analyst. All right. Okay, I'm going to put the job description here. What I just copied, I'll put it here. As a data migration analyst, help me tailor my resume as a teacher to fit into the data migration analyst role. Okay, and I'll say here is my resume. All right. So I'm going to take the job description. I'll paste it here, Control V to paste. And I'll put my own resume in between the double quotes. Now, there's a sample CV, a teacher CV, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. And then let's see if we can use that. sample teacher resume. So you've worked as a teacher, you've worked as a banker, you've worked as a strategy analyst, you worked in a different capacity, but now you've learned data analytics. How do you leverage your past experience? So this is a sample CV of a teacher, all right? Education, Masters of Arts in Education, professional experience, high school teacher, okay? Another high school teacher, one was at a different school. So I'm going to copy this CV, which is the CV of a teacher, high school teacher, all right? Control C, let's copy, and let's go back to ChatGPT, all right? And I'm going to paste it in here, Control V, and then I would send. So what have I asked ChatGPT to do? I've said that I'm applying to this role as a data migration analyst, and these are the responsibilities. Help me tailor my CV to this particular role. Let's send it. Okay, so it's going to, write something for us, and you can see high school teacher, but then again, always remember that you want to look at this yourself. Whatever ChatGPT has given to you, you would look at it and make adjustments. So I'm going to copy everything that I have in here. So copy, I'll go back to my, let's open up a new page and paste. And let's see what we have. Okay, so we need to make adjustments to what we have, but let's just quickly look at it. All right, now look at the professional summary and you see that it has changed. It says dedicated educator with 5 years of experience as a high school teacher, showcasing expertise in curriculum development, student assessment, fostering inclusive learning environment, seeking to transition skills in data analysis, problem solving, and communication to excel as a data migration analyst. So it has embedded data migration into the resume. But let's look at the other experience, the professional experience, and see. So it says high school teacher. Now, what you want to do is you want to tailor it to have not just high school teacher, but you want it to have different aspects of data migration. So let's see what it has done. The areas it included data migration into the resume. Okay, so data analysis and problem solving skills, it's added that for us, saying that what? Utilize data-driven insights to adapt teaching strategies and improve student outcomes, analyze student performance data to identify trends and areas for improvement, communication and collaboration, technology integration, okay? So it's added all of this for us. But what I even want it to do is to say, add all of this into my main responsibilities. Okay, so I can go back to ChatGPT and I would say, add, I would say include the data migration responsibilities and requirements into my, requirements into my own responsibilities as a teacher, right? Now, always remember that you would always have to come back to tweak. You'd see what it has given you, tweak it, and see how you can make changes. So now what we are simply saying is some of those data migration skills, include it into your role as a teacher, okay? So you'd go back and see, oh, what has it included? What do you have with regards to data migration that has been included in your job requirements? Now, why this is very, very important is because I've seen so many people make this mistake. You're applying to a job as a data migration analyst. First of all, your job title here, you change it from high school teacher. It's not going to remain as high school teacher. You look for roles that are similar to roles in tech, to roles in data analytics. For example, curriculum data analyst in instructional data analysts, and so on and so forth. You have to be creative. So instead of having things like curriculum, instead of having things like high school teacher, which if anybody sees that CV, they would never ever call you up for an interview. You change the job title. I worked as what? A curriculum data analyst. Or so you change this, curriculum data analyst or instructional data analyst. So you be creative with some of the things you do to ensure that when you put in your CV to that application, you get at least pass through the ATS system first of all and get called up for an interview. Now, how do you ensure that you get into that interview and perform in the best possible way that you can? You must have worked on projects. Projects are extremely important because that's what hone your skills. The skills you have, that is what gives you the confidence to talk about the things you've done, to talk about your skills in the use of Excel, the use of Power BI, the use of SQL, Tableau, and so on and so forth. All right. So this is how you tailor your CVs, because I see people you've worked in the bank for 10 years, you've migrated to Canada, through the PR route, and then you are doing the job of an Uber driver. What happened to all the experience you had over the last 10 years? Or you're trying to move into a new role, but you are struggling to get a job as a data analyst because you represent yourself as somebody who is new in that area, and that reduces your chances because every company wants to get the best from their employees. So they want to know that you actually have the skills. And how do you represent yourself in a way that you don't just show them that you are learning from scratch or you've been learning for the last 2 months? You show them that you've been doing this for the past 2 years, the past 3 years, the past 5 years, and you embed all those things into your job responsibilities, what you've done over the years. All right. I created different data, databases that warehoused the information of students or the data of students to help for easy analysis to optimize the learning outcomes. All right. So your responsibilities as a teacher, you modify it to represent data analytics flavor, and then you can communicate in that way to get the best opportunities available. And with this, so many people have been able to transition because it is a brutal world out there. Companies want to get the best. And for those of you who are making the transition for the first time, going there to say, oh, I'm learning. Nobody wants to hire a learner. Nobody wants to hire somebody who has just done this in a very few months. They want somebody who can deploy the skills to help them solve problems on the very first day, hit the ground running on the very first day, hit the ground running and keep on running after the job, after you've gotten the job. All right. I'm going to take in questions from the chat and then we'll get some people to make comments before we wrap it up. Now, the data analytics program that we offer at Analytics, like I mentioned all the skills at the beginning, what you need to have. A lot of people watch videos and they watch all sorts of things because information is free. Sort of nowadays, people watch videos and they watch videos for a year and they still can't transition. I was having a conversation with somebody here in the UK. He got my number from somebody, reached out to me. He lost his job and he's trying to get a job again. Since February, he hasn't been able to get a job. I told him to send me his CV, which he did. He sent his CV to me. I had a look at it and there were all sorts of things wrong with that CV. So many. First of all, it was 4 pages. For somebody with 5 years experience, it's 4 pages. I have close to a decade experience. My CV is just 2 pages. But you have 5 years experience and you have 4 pages. What do you have in there? And there were so many things so wrong with that CV. And we are working with him to see how we can get him, to get a job as fast as possible. And these are the reasons why people don't get jobs. Okay, you don't have a structure to how you learn and you don't follow a particular structured learning, format in addition to all the other things you need to do to help you get a job. And that's where we come in. So our data analytics program is a 4-month learning journey. For 4 months, you'd learn for 3 months in a project-based environment where you'd have a teacher, you'd have a facilitator, a trainer who would work with you to solve problems for 3 months, project-based. The first day in your class on Excel, you're working on a project. Your Power BI is all project-based because when you get a job, employers would want you to deploy the skills you have to solving problems for them. So your projects are designed from the experience of your trainers, your facilitators who are currently in the industry. So you'd see what they've done in the past and you'd apply skills and techniques to help solve similar problems. So you're working on real life case scenarios. Of course, the case studies would have been codified to address the issues of data privacy and all of that. But you work on real life case studies, real life projects that helps you build the experience that you need to hit the ground running when you get a job as a data analyst. Once you are done with your 3 months, learning journey, you then move into your capstone project. The capstone project is a way for you to assess all the things you've learned in class. So you've learned Excel, you've learned Power BI, you've learned Tableau, you've learned SQL, problem solving, ChatGPT for analytics. You've also learned Microsoft Fabric. How do you assess all your skills to solving a project, bringing all the skills you've learned into one single place to double down and solve a project? That's the capstone project. And once you're done with the capstone, you move into the virtual internship. Why is the virtual internship important? This is where you build your portfolio of projects. So as a teacher, as an accountant, as somebody in strategy, somebody who has never done anything data analytics, you need a proof. Okay, you need a portfolio that would serve as proof that you've applied your skills, you've worked on this project and you've solved these particular problems. And that's where the internship comes in. The internship is a virtual internship that simulates the real life work environment. You get to collaborate as a team. You'd have somebody you report to who you would have access to ask questions and collaborate to solve those problems. You'd have presentations that you would make once you've solved the problems. And with those kind of things, you present your findings. That helps you to do what? Improve your communication skills as a data analyst. So for 4 months, you'll be doing all of this and honing your skills as a data analyst. And the program is also open based on your location, all right? So you have flexibility if you're in the UK, if you're in Canada. If you're in UK, for example, or you're in Africa, you're in Nigeria, somewhere across Africa, you have the time zone that suits your schedule. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West Africa time on Saturdays, you have your live class. Your live class is where you have a trainer like myself who would work with you on different areas and concepts with regards to data analytics. We'll work on projects together. You have the opportunity to ask questions immediately. You try something, it doesn't work out for you, you have the ability to ask questions on the call, all right? And on Sundays, you have the Watch Me Do It videos. The Watch Me Do It videos are bite-sized videos where you watch and you would learn concepts, apply the things you've learned in the video ahead of the next class the following Saturday. So that's the model of the class, very flexible. Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sundays, Watch Me Do It videos. And you do this if you're in the UK, if you're in Africa, you are somewhere around the same time zone. It's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in Canada, if you're in the US, you also have the time zone that fits your schedule. All right, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Toronto, Canada time. That's when you have your class. So on a Saturday, you have 2 classes typically. One that would hold in the morning for those in the UK, Canada, and so on. And the other session would be for those, I beg your pardon, for those in the UK, Africa, and similar time zone, they have their session in the morning. And for those in Canada, in the US, they have their session in a different, time as well. So we have 2 classes that run every Saturday, the live class. Now, the reason why some people never get jobs, like I mentioned, is they don't cover the 2 critical aspects of getting into the tech ecosystem. Number one is the technical, which you must have, the hard skill. Number two is the soft skill. Okay, so even if we refer to them as soft skill, they are still very, very crucial. And we've touched on just a fraction of them today during this call. A lot of people focus on this technical, which is just 50%. But the other 50% is even where most of the work has to be done, which is your CV. Okay, so we'll show you how to review your CV. All right, we'll show you how to tailor your CV. We'll show you how to improve the format of your CV. Every job you apply to, you don't just apply like that. You have to look at different things to help optimize the CV and tailor it to the job itself. So when you apply to that job, there's a high chance of you getting called for an interview or an assessment. That gets your foot into the door. We looked at a couple of things you can do today. And just from the little we've done, if you make those changes, you take note of those things, you'd see the drastic change in the difference between sending your CV like that without any calls and then you receiving calls when you make those changes. So that's number one. You must do this. If you don't, you will never get a job, except maybe that job is, belongs to a family member, and then they just recruit you because they know how good you are. Now, secondly is your LinkedIn optimization. You must have an optimized LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn must also serve as a social proof. If I go on a website, if I go on your LinkedIn profile today, is there anything that shows that you are a data analyst, or you can use Tableau, or you can use Power BI? Do you talk about analytics at all? Does your LinkedIn match your CV? Is it the same person? Or do I have a CV of a data analyst, but I have the LinkedIn of an accountant? All right. So these are the things you need to take note of. And your LinkedIn must always be your social proof of what you've done in the space and so on. All right. Number three is Upwork optimization. Remember, for those who want to get remote jobs, want to work from Nigeria, work from Ghana, work from Kenya, for some of the biggest companies across the globe, work as a freelancer, you have the opportunity to do that when you have an Upwork profile. Okay, even if you have an Upwork profile, you need to have an optimized Upwork profile to get the best jobs out there. We'll work with you on this as well. Number four is navigating the job market. All right. Now, why is this very important? Some people have no clue. And I keep on saying this in every session that I have. And just to educate people, people have no clue that for you to get a job or for you to get a job in a particular region, there are certain nuances you need to take note of. All right. What is applicable to some regions will not be applicable in other regions. And we saw something very simple, that, for example, to transition to a skilled worker visa, you need 70 points. People don't even know that it is a point-based system. Right? So, and this is where you get to understand the different strategies, the different things you need to know. I'm in Canada, I'm in Edmonton. What are the opportunities available in Alberta, in Edmonton, for example? What are the opportunities available, especially for those in the tech career pathways available in Canada? There's so many career pathways available, and people don't have any idea that they can take advantage of these career pathways. And that's what you learn during the Navigating the Job Market session. We bring in professionals, people that have experience in that space, people that have gone through that same route and they've gotten, results, people that have gone through the program itself and they've also gotten results. We bring them in to show you what to do. For example, in about 2 weeks, for those of you that know Olu of Canada, he's coming in to talk to the participants, the current participants, on the different tech pathways and to work with them. For those who are in Canada, who would want to know, based on my location, if I'm in Saskatoon, for example, these are the opportunities available. And if they want to move ahead with those opportunities, they have somebody like Olu of Canada to work with them to help them achieve that. All right. And these are some of the things we do to bring value and bring more Africans and more people of the Black community into tech. 5 is recommendation and reference letters. you eventually get a job in the sense that you have an offer. Before that offer is confirmed and you start the job, they must reach out to your referee who can vouch for your character, who can vouch for you. Okay. And that's where who did they reach out to? For you just getting started as a data analyst, you've not worked as a data analyst before, all right? But you've worked on projects, which the same skills you deploy working on projects are the same skills you deploy working on the real job itself, okay? So the very first thing you do when you join a Tenalytics program is to change your job title on LinkedIn to what? Data Analytics Consultant with Tenalytics. So your job title changes. You've started working with us. So when you apply to jobs, what you simply do is to do what? Put us as your referee. So when they ask for a reference, you provide us, you indicate Tenalytics, they reach out to us, they send us an email, fill this form. Do you know this gentleman or this lady? What did they do? Have they been absent? Can you vouch for their character? Are they of good, and so on and so forth. Without that reference, somebody to fill and recommend you and to also fill that reference form, you're not getting the job. Now, to even get the job, you need to put your best foot forward during the interview. And this is where a lot of people make mistakes, all right? And I've had several interview preparation sessions, and very simple questions go unanswered, or they're answered in the funniest, possible ways imagined, all right? Questions as simple as, tell me about yourself. Questions as simple as, tell me how you have used data to solve a problem. All right. Now, when we started this session, there was a dashboard I showed you. John and Obiageri explained what that dashboard was all about. That was a real life project that was carried out by the participants in our data analytics program. So when you're asked questions like that, how have you used data to solve a problem? There is an approach you have to take to answering such questions. And that approach is called the STAR approach, STAR, the STAR approach. S for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for results. So it helps you structure your response to questions, competency-based questions asked during interviews. So you're not rambling and talking about so many things at the same time, but you're addressing the questions asked. So, and this all comes with preparing adequately before you move into the interview. And last but not the least is the weekly mentorship. The mentorship session is simply, it happens every week, where you'd have experts, you'd have myself, you'd have the co-founder of Tenalytics, and so many other experts work with you, right, weekly, to help you answer questions, to bring the industry trends, insights, what you need to do, what are the challenges you are having, how can we help you address those challenges? Because mentorship is something that would reduce the timeline that you need to transition from about 1.5 years to just 4 months, simply because you know the right things to do, you know what to avoid, you know what you need to take note of, and what you need to pay attention to, all right? And that's what the mentorship session aims to achieve. Okay, so these are the other, aspects of your learning journey that must be done for you to get a job. So it's not just the technical skill, but you have to add this aspect to your technical skill to make the transition. And when you register with a Tenalytics program, it comes with all of this, from all the things you learn as a data analyst to all these other areas. Within the space of 4 months, you'd go through all these sessions one by one, CV review sessions, where you would use tools like Jobalytics that would help you, tools like Jobalytics, Jobscan, that would help you match your CV, and you'd see what your CV matches to a particular job description. You have 55%, you see the areas you need to address, you start to address them and get the percentage match up before you apply to that job role, all right? You'd learn how to build your LinkedIn, optimize your LinkedIn that attracts the best and the biggest organization across the globe, and all the other things you need to do. And until you're able to do that, getting a job in countries like Canada, in the UK, will be very, very challenging. And you get to work with the best in the industry, the best of the best, all right? You'd work with Efemena, you'd work with myself, you'd work with Nene, who is a commercial analytics professional in the UK. You'd work with Obina, who is a data scientist in Canada, and so many other professionals, okay? Of course, like myself, you'd work with Tony. Tony is the data analytics lead at Tenalytics. He's an expert in the use of Power BI, Excel, Tableau, Python, MongoDB, and so on and so forth. Should help you navigate your journey. Mohammed as well is a senior data associate who would work with you to help you make that switch. Oladapo is a senior consultant with Deloitte in Bermuda. He's an Excel expert. He would handle your Excel class and show you every single thing you need to learn in Excel. In fact, for people that join Oladapo's class, at the end of the day, they'll be like, oh my God, I thought I knew Excel before until I learned Excel from Oladapo. You'd also work with Olugbemi. Olugbemi is a business data analyst with a law depot in Edmonton, Canada. He would help so many of you. Now, Olugbemi is somebody who joined our program, a few years ago. He was able to make the switch, make the transition. He resigned from his job in Nigeria, in the banking industry. He moved to Canada, and then he got a job. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Olugbemi's story for those in Canada. Olugbemi, before he joined, we had a conversation, and he said, look, this is what I want to achieve. These are my objectives. And I told him, look, just go ahead, apply, get into our program, and hone your skills, improve your skills. And that's all you need. He joined the program. When he had his interview, he let me know. We looked at the job description together. We had about a 2-hour session where we looked at all the possible questions that could come up. He went into the interview and he did absolutely fantastically well. Now, today he works as a business data analyst in the law depot in Canada, and he has helped so many other people to transition and get jobs in Canada. I'll be sharing some of them with you as we move on in the session. Now, our next cohort starts on the 2nd of September. Okay, we've had multiple sessions across all the programs that we offer from last week, and a lot of people are sending me messages in my chat. Oh, what does it take for me to be a part of the program? Job sponsorship in Germany. We're not talking about Germany today, is Chigozie. All right, that'll be for another time. Okay, we're not talking about Germany today. We'll talk about that another time. Let me see. How well does all of this relate to Salesforce data analytics? Salesforce is simply a tool, an ERP tool that I'll talk about that eventually. All right. Now, our next cohort starts on the 2nd of September. Our August cohort started on the 5th. The next cohort starts on the 2nd of September. So for those of you who would want to be a part of the next cohort starting, you want to start your journey in data analytics, you've always wanted to be a data analyst, how do you get started? If you're in the UK, it's £400 to be a part of the program. If you're in Canada, it's 600 Canadian dollars. And if you're in the US, it's $500 US. But we have an early bird discount for those interested. And from all the sessions we've been having over the last few weeks, we've also been mentioning this, that the early bird discount ends on Friday. So that's Friday next week on the 18th of August. So instead of paying £400 or 320,000 Naira or 600 Canadian dollars or $500 US, you only get to pay £300. So you have £100 discount. So you paid £300 to be a part of the program. If you're making payments in Naira, instead of paying 320,000 Naira, you get to pay just 270. If you're paying in US dollars, instead of paying in $500 US, you pay 400. And if you're paying in Canadian dollars, instead of paying 600 Canadian dollars, you get to pay 500 Canadian dollars. And you can also make a payment in 2 installments, okay, to make it easier for you to get into the program. All right. And again, the early bird discount ends on Friday, the 18th of August. because we always get this all the time, and people coming to say, oh, I wanted to take advantage of the discount, but I couldn't get into the program itself. I couldn't make payment on time. So for those who wants to get started in data analytics, the best is take advantage of the early bird discounts and structure your payments in 2 installments. The first payment, you get registered, you receive a welcome kit as soon as we confirm your payments. The welcome kit contains all the details you need for the program, from your lesson plan to how to download all the applications that you'll be needing. For example, how do you download and install Power BI? How do you download and install your PostgreSQL for your SQL class, your Tableau, your Microsoft Excel? How do you get all those applications? You'd have that in your welcome kit. Then 1 month after the program must have commenced, you get to pay the second payment. So if you're in the UK, for example, you make your payment £200 to register, and then £100 1 month after the program starts. 180,000 to get into the program you are paying in Naira, and then 90,000 1 month after the program must have commenced. So you have that flexibility to make payments to be a part of the program. And how do you get started? All you have to do is click on the link, which my colleagues would also share on the charts. And then, like I said, at the end of the session, you receive the slides via email, and you have access to all the details that you need. So if I click on the link, for example, it takes me into the page where I can make my payments and get to register. So first of all, some of you would want to see the brochure, what the program entails in the nitty-gritty. For example, what am I going to learn in Excel? Am I going to learn pivot tables? Am I going to learn different functions, logical functions like the if function, the count ifs, the sum ifs, and all of that? You'd get all the details by clicking here to access the brochure. Okay. Now, if you want to make your payments in Naira, so you want to pay using your debit card or your credit card in Naira, all you have to do is click on this link to take you to the Paystack platform, and you'd see the data analytics program. And all you have to do is click on that, and you can then make payments to start. If you want to make the full payments, you click on full payments, and you have access to the early bird discount of 270,000 Naira. You want to make payments, part payments, you click on part payments, and then you'd see 180,000 Naira, and then you can make payments to be a part of the program. All right. So this is how to pay using Naira, paying using your Naira card. If you want to make payments in pounds, for example, you can make payments in pounds using PayPal. All right. And all you have to do is click on the link. It takes you to where, if you want to make full payment or part payments, it takes you to where you can make payments, and then you'd see the Tenalytics carrier programs, the full payments. If you're making full payment, for example, click on buy now, click on PayPal. All right. And then it takes you to where you can start to make login. If you want to log into your PayPal account, or you can pay using your debit or credit card. I click on pay by debit or credit card, and it takes me to where I can enter all my details, my region, enter your phone number, and then you make payments, all the details you need to make, and then you pay for any of the programs. All right. So that's how to get started. Now, for those who would want to do a direct transfer, because we get this all the time, which is, I want to take advantage of the discount, but I don't have 180,000, or I don't have £200 to make the first payment. Can I make £100 payment now, and then I'll make the balance payments before the program starts? Absolutely, you can. And for you to do that, all you have to do is you can send a direct transfer to any of our accounts, the pound account or the Naira account, which is the Fidelity Bank account. Okay, so you secure your slot, you secure the discount, because after the 18th, instead of paying £300, you get to pay 400. Instead of paying 500 Canadian dollars, you get to pay 600. And instead of paying 270,000, you get to pay 320. So the discount is something super amazing you can take advantage of to be a part of the program. And once you've made payments, all you have to do is to upload the proof of payments. That's all you have to do. And then one of our associates would reach out to you via email, all the details you need, and then you get started into the program. So let's take, for example, you've made payments, you take a snapshot of your proof of payment, you come into this place, and then you upload your receipts. You click on the link that says upload receipts, and then you get registered for the September cohort. Okay, you enter your email, your first name, your last name, your gender, the type of payment, and all those details, you submit it. And the moment you submit, you receive a welcome kit that contains everything you need for the program, right? You're going to work on some amazing projects when you're a part of the program, all right? The Castro Technologies project, the Nestle Product Analytics project, the online food delivery project, so many projects that you'd work on as a part of the data analytics program. And this is what builds your experience, all right? So for those of you who have no experience, I've never done this before, how do you prove to employees that you've done this? You have all the skills that they need. And this comes with the projects you have in your portfolio. For example, you'll be helping an airline optimize their operations. Okay, the Redux Airlines case study is one of the case studies you would work on. You would work on another interesting case study is the employee attrition case study, where you'd help a company identify why employees are leaving and how they can reduce the employee attrition. Fraudulent transaction, which is it is an SQL case study. And in this particular case study, you'd help the company identify the transactions that are fraudulent and the factors that leads to fraudulent transactions. So by understanding that, you can prevent fraudulent transactions before they happen. All right. So these are some of the interesting projects you're going to work on as a part of the program. Okay. And I'm going to take a pause and I'll take questions because I know you have so many questions to be a part of the program. All right. Olufemi is asking for clarity, the part payment is how much if I don't have the total. Okay. So there is no specific to the part payment. And I'm just going to explain it one more time. Okay, because what we've seen over time is people saying that, look, I want to be a part of the program. However, can you give me some, leeway to make a payment today before the program starts? And I'll give you an example. Your payment is structured in 2-part payments. Let's assume you are paying in Naira, which is 270. All right, you make the first payment of 180,000 and second payment of 90,000. The program starts on the 2nd of September. Now, people would say that, look, I don't have the whole 180 for the first payment now, which is not a problem. Okay, secure the discount because after the 18th of August, the fee would go up to the original fee. So secure your discounts by, let's say, take for example, you have 100K, you pay 100,000, you secure the discounts because you've made payments before the program starts on the 2nd of September. You receive your welcome kit and all the details that you need, but then you need to make the balance of 80, which completes your first installment before the program starts. All right, so you still make the first payment of 180 before the program starts, but you've played a smart one by taking advantage of the discounts, by making payments before Friday, the 18th of August. I hope that answers your question. I think that was Olufemi that asked the question. All right. So let's quickly wrap up. And I would love to take more questions. Please feel free, ask me questions. I'll be happy to take questions before I call it a day today. I think we'll take another 10 minutes for questions. But then again, some people I want to highlight to you that have been able to go through our programs, and we are super proud of them. They've gotten fantastic jobs over time. Sunday got a job last month as a regulatory data analyst in the UK after training with us at Analytics. All right. He started his job last month as a regulatory data analyst. Nathaniel also works with one of the largest privately owned pharmaceutical company in Barcelona. He got a job sometime around, I think, 2 months ago. He's doing fantastic in his job. And I want you to look carefully at the messages. He sent a message to one of the senior data associates saying that, look, he was able to get the job. I just got the job, man. Got a confirmation. Thank you so much for the help. All right. So because we help you, we work with you during your interview. Okay. During the interview process, he was able to work. This particular associate, Mohammed, was able to work with Nathaniel, and Nathaniel was able to secure and land the job. Amaka got a job as a business support analyst after completing our data analytics program. She got the job with one of the councils here in the UK. She joined our program in January this year, the data analytics program, and she got a job as a business support analyst. All right. We also have Desola. Desola got a job as a business analyst also in the UK with the NHS after training with us. Okay. I would love to talk about Benga a little. Benga is in Poland. All right. Benga is in Poland. He got a job as a business data analyst. Now, Benga's story is a bit interesting, and I'll talk about it a bit. Benga had always wanted to get a job since 2021 when he moved to Poland. But it was from one rejection to the other, one rejection to the other. Now, one of the major reasons he found that he was getting rejections was the roles were always requesting for Tableau. They wanted somebody that had Tableau, and he had tried to learn Tableau on his own, and he found it very difficult. So he joined our program around February this year. And when he started to get interview requests, because like I said, you don't wait until you are done before you start applying to jobs. So as he applied to jobs, he got requests for interviews. I worked with him on one of his interviews. And for the other interviews, he had so many other associates internally that worked with him. Now, he sent a message here. If you can read this, your team has been very helpful with the background check and everything that he needed to do to get the job. He didn't just get the job, he had 3 more offers. So he had 3 offers because he had 4 jobs he was applying to. So apart from the one he eventually took, he had 3 offers. And this is somebody who had never gotten, job offers since 2021 until he joined our program in February this year. And today he works as a business data analyst. And he has been reaching out to me saying, oh, I just started the job. There are some things I think I need to brush on before I can carry out my activities. There's a task I have. I need to do this task. I think I need to read here, read there. And I give him advice on what to do. And he's doing very well today in the space. You also have Steven. Steven used to work with Tesco as a customer service professional working with Tesco. But today he works as a junior data analyst with the Access Group in the UK after joining our data analytics program. Same with Wislene. Wislene works with Shell here in the UK after joining our program. Wislene joined last year around October, and she got a job. Now, after helping Wislene prepare for her interviews, sending her different materials to use to work with, she reached out to me and also highlighting that I was able to find a position 4 months after completing the program. Okay, so 4 months after completing the program, she was able to get a job with Shell in the UK as a sales analyst after completing our data analytics program. Same with Emmanuel. Emmanuel works with the Western Union headquarters here in the UK as a digital analyst. Olugbemi works as a business data analyst with the Law Depot after completing our training program. I told you about Olugbemi's story. He resigned from the bank in Nigeria, moved to Canada, had interviews. I worked with Olugbemi during his interviews, and he did very well, got the job. And he got a job. That was last year, September, if I'm correct. He joined our program in April, and by September, he had gotten the job as a business data analyst in Canada. Olubemi has a video he recorded here. So take out time when you receive the slide and listen to what Olubemi had to say. All right, you have Uthman. Uthman was fresh out of the university, had never worked before. Today, he works as a business intelligence officer with the NHS in the UK after joining our program, and so many other success stories, so many success stories. Maureen works with TELUS, a telecommunications company in Canada, after joining one of our programs here at Tenalytics. Victor works remotely from Nigeria, works for a company in Chicago, Illinois. After training with us, Abdurrashid works in Nigeria, in Ilorin, Kwara State to be specific, works with a company in the US as a data scientist. Child 420, working in Nigeria, earning in dollars and spending in Naira. And these are people that have gone through our program. Ebube works with the NHS as well here in the UK. So many people, so many success stories. I'm not going to bore you too much with all the success stories. Take out time, listen to their stories, watch a couple of these videos of people that have gone through the program. They've done amazing stuff after joining the program, all right? And then this would give you insights into taking the first step, which is the most important thing that a lot of people struggle to do, all right? Take that first step. You want to get a better job. You don't want to work in care because you've never worked in care before. You don't want to work in the warehouse because that would not show you a clear career progression. But how do you work as a data analyst? How do you compete for the best jobs available within the space without having the skills to compete for those jobs? And that's where we come in to cover that gap. And over the last 3 years, over the last year, 2022, we're able to help 500 people make the switch from the classroom into getting their first jobs in tech. So what I want you to do at the end of today's session, take out your time, go on LinkedIn, follow us across all our social media and see the amazing stuff we've been doing over the last few years. I'm going to take a pause at this point in time, and I'll take questions before we call it a day because time is far spent, right? So if you have questions, you want to ask questions, use the raise hand icon. I would call you up to speak and ask your questions, and then I would also take questions in the chat. So if you can't come up to speak, please send your questions into the chat. I have Niniola Olawonyi. So Niniola, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask your question, Niniola.
All right, good evening, Adesa. Thank you very much. I don't even know, the welcome is been interesting. Like, I've been captivated, and I think you've gone through everything. I've had the opportunity to be in other data programs and everything. But what I see is people are just interested in like taking in new people. You probably go through the class and try to learn on yourself. They are not holding your hands, and the support is not there, which is, in fact, the most important of all. I've had to recommend my friend and say, oh yeah, let's do this. But then that support. So I just want to have an assurance. Like, I know all of these tools, I can use them, I've done projects on it, but that support, or like that, you know, when there is like a senior brother that is cheering you on into the work environment, especially people that are transitioning. I spent 10 years in the bank in Nigeria, and now I'm going into a new environment to even find my feet. And then when these people also promise that, okay, we will support you, we'll be there for you, but at the end of the day, I'm not seeing these things. So I just want to be sure that this will not now be another venture where everything's still like I'm still having to go through this same process again. So I just need that assurance that I will have somebody to hold my hand and say, okay, this is how. In fact, I've applied to so many jobs in UK. and like I'm not even getting any response. I've learned so much, so much, and like I'm sure if all these other people are giving me like this thing, I'm sure, but I just want to, I just need an assurance. Let me just say it that way, so that I don't take your time.
All right, fantastic question, Niniola. Okay, so I could give you all the assurance, but I'd love you to hear from somebody. Okay, so that'll give you, I believe, you have this on the slide as well. So when you receive, that's why I said, take out time, listen to people's story. Let's start with Olugbemi. All right, we'll start with Olugbemi, and then you would listen to one more person, hear what they have to say, and you would also learn from their experience as well during the program. But one thing I would say before I play the videos is, for us, the focus is not just on teaching you. Like I said, that's not the focus. You can learn anywhere. Anybody can teach you. There are so many platforms out there, all right? Coursera, for example, I can buy a course on Coursera for less than maybe 20 pounds or 50 pounds, and then I learn a couple of these things. But that's not the focus. The focus is, how do you apply and get a job? Because having the skill is one, which, like you said, you've been in the banking industry for 10 years. You've learned this over time, but getting the job is a difficult part. Let me give you a few statistics in the UK, since you're in the UK. Every year, you have 30,000 job roles vacant to be filled by data analysts. Now, the universities and the migrants would give only 10,000 people that have the skills to fill those roles. All right? 30,000 roles available. Now, 10,000 people will be available from universities, undergraduates, masters, immigrants coming into the country. So you have a gap of 20,000. And you do the test yourself. Go on CV Library, go to read.co.uk, indeed.com every day, and you'd see the new jobs that are available. So the question of, are jobs available? That's not even a question at all. The jobs are there. And it's so, disturbing that so many jobs are available. And a lot of people are only concerned about doing jobs in the warehouse or doing jobs in care, because that's what everybody else is doing. And that's where we come in. We are not just about training. We are about helping you get and land the job. All right. But listen to Olugbemi, like I said. I'm going to play the video. The video is also on YouTube. All right. I'll play the video. Just listen to him, and then I'll come back to take a couple of other things to answer your other questions. All right. So let me do this. Okay. So, give me a second. I'll share that screen so you can see the screen that is playing. Okay. So just sit back, relax, and listen, Niniola.
Newsfeed ads help advertisers amplify content side by side.
Hi, everyone. So my background, I studied chemistry up to master's degree level. Then Nigeria now, I found myself with the bank. So I did banking for about 4 years. And when I got my PPR in March, I knew I don't want to do marketing again when I come to Canada. Tired of targets. I want to switch to something new. So before then, I'd been taking some Udemy courses on data analysis. And I remember when I met Adesa, I told him, I know this data analysis. I just need something like an internship. And he was like, okay, just go through this course. It's going to help you own your skills. I still remember the exact words he used. So I joined the team. And then I actually discovered I don't know much. So because they didn't just go into the tool. They started with problem solving, which is actually very, very key. Knowing the why behind the tools you're using, knowing the why is very, very important, not just going into the tool. So we started with problem solving, and then we moved to Excel. The Excel part really got me hooked, and I felt like, wow, I really needed to do this. So I made a sacrifice. I knew I was going to leave Nigeria soon. So I resigned from my job to face it squarely. So aside from the weekend classes, I was doing extra learning and everything. And just about 2 weeks ago, before contacting Adesa, I had passed my my aptitude test and first level interview with the company I applied to. So when they contacted me that I had been shortlisted for the technical interview, I quickly sent Adesa a message that, oh God, it don't happen though. How will you help your boy? So we actually spent over 1 hour together, and he prepared me for the interview. Some of the questions he asked were repeated on the interview there. While some of them, there's a way you just tweak that answer you guys have prepared to the interviewer's question. There's a way, I don't know, there's a way that thing will just fit in. You won't know how, but there'll be a way it will fit in. That thing has happened like twice now. I don't know how that has happened, but anything you've prepared, you will find a way of using it on that interview day. So we spent about 1 hour, 30 minutes, prepared me, gave me some materials to prepare with, and I did the interview. So they're not just going to leave you hanging after the session. They're going to help you prepare with interview. And when it got to the recommendation part, he wrote a really strong recommendation letter from, even seeing that recommendation letter, I will employ myself. It was really, really strong. And I remember I missed out this. After the technical interview, they gave me a case study to solve and return to them. I also contacted him, and he helped me look at some of the questions, and he gave me ideas, and I put that in and I submitted. 2 hours after the case study, they just sent me a mail to send me 3 references. To send them 3 references, so I quickly contacted him. He wrote that powerful reference for me, and today I got the job as a business data analyst here in Edmonton, Canada. So it's really beautiful and it's worth it, because if you look at the remuneration part, it's actually 1,000% of what I was earning in Canada. So to break it, to what I was earning in Nigeria, I mean, to break it down is like times 10 of what I was earning back then in Nigeria. So it's really, really worth it. I started with analytics in April, and this is just September. So I don't think 6 months of sacrifice is too much to get to that next level, which I just started anyway. So thank you guys. That's all about me.
All right. So that's Olugbemi. I know I mentioned Olugbemi earlier and his story. So based on Niniola's question, I'm just going to play one more. This one is very short. Okay. So it's a short video, not as long as Olugbemi's own. Just to hear from somebody else, because it's better heard from those who have gone through the experience. I can give you all the assurance in the world. All right. But like Niniola said, so many platforms out there. The most difficult work is in helping people get jobs, preparing them for jobs, not teaching. Anybody can teach. You can learn anywhere, like I said. But getting the jobs is where you need to do a lot of the work. All right. So we're going to listen to Adebola. Okay. She joined our program sometime this year. I'm just going to play the video. We'll listen to Adebola, and then I'll come back to take more questions. All right. Let's listen to Adebola, 1 minute video. Oops, sorry, I think it's muted. Let me just take it back. Okay.
Hi, my name is Adebola. Enrolling with Data Analytics was one of the best decisions I made. Their learning process is seamless, and they don't just leave you to yourself after you've learned. They take you by the hand to make sure you're well placed in the right place, to make sure you're well groomed, to make sure that you actually put the skills you've learned into practice. I really, really, really appreciate Data Analytics for what they did for us. It was money well spent. The value gotten is way, way more than the money spent. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, I'm going to come back to my slide, Niniola, to answer some of the other questions that you have, which is, some of the people you've had to deal with before, they left you hanging, you really didn't get the support that you needed, and so on and so forth. Now, for us, the focus is not just on learning, but on getting a job after learning, because that's where you get value. I've worked with so many companies. Here in the UK, for example, I move into a company and the whole data team are Indians. That's shocking to me. Why will a whole data team, the data engineer, the data scientist, the database administrator, the data analyst, they are all Indians, right? And they're Nigerians, they're Africans, they're Ghanaians that can also do these jobs, but they don't have the skills, or they don't even know they can learn the skill, and they feel it's something that they cannot do. So the focus has always been how to get jobs. And that's why we embed those other areas from 1 to 7 as part of the technical skills that you'll be learning. And there are multiple support systems that you have. And I'll show you just a very quick example. When you register with any of our programs, so let's say Niniola registers with Tenalytics on the Data Analytics program, you join our platform where you have all access to the materials for all the programs, how to join your classes, the recordings for your live classes, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the cohort that started in March. But I want to show you what they are doing at the moment, okay? There's a project they are working on called Project X. If you can see my screen, Project X. Now, what's Project X all about? It's one of their internship projects. And this is a project for a real life company, all right? The founder of the company reached out to me here in the UK. They need solutions, data analytics solutions for certain, aspects. And I told him that, look, we're going to do it for free because we have analysts that can work on this. We got the data, converted the data into something that would not have any data privacy issues, and they're working on the project. So the project called Project X. And for this project, because of the sensitivity and the importance, we get to have drop-in sessions. Okay, we had a meeting last week, for example. You can see internship drop-in session with Adesa, where we'd look at the case study. What do you want to do? What's the approach? So there is that always constant support. There's always that person to work with you, all right? So let's have a look at some of the projects that they've worked on during their, growth internship and also during the capstone. So let's look at this airline optimization case study. Okay, so this is a case study for an airline company where you'd help the airline optimize and also help them identify the correct price point. Okay, so you work with the company, you have the data dictionary that shows all the different explanation or description of the columns that you have. And then you have your tailored analysis, the questions that you're going to answer when working on this project. All these things are designed not just to teach you, but they are designed for you to put your skills into practice working on real life case studies. You have an interview. How do you schedule an interview session? You don't need to discuss with anybody. You don't need to place a phone call to anybody. No, go to your classroom, which is this platform I'm showing you. You have the schedule an interview preparation session. Click on any of the links and you get to schedule your session. All you have to do is, if I click on this link, for example, it takes me to a Calendly. I select a date. My interview is on maybe Friday. I select an interview date on Tuesday. I click on that. I select, okay, I'm going to be back from work by 6 p.m. I select 6 p.m. I go to next. I enter my name, my email, and the detail of the job, and I schedule an event. The moment I click on schedule an event, what happens? I would receive an email that contains a Zoom link and my schedule for that particular interview preparation. So these are the several layers of support that you have. Now, the capstone project, let me just take it down a bit, okay, just to give you an idea. And the beauty of this is you don't miss out on anything. So let's assume that your very first class is problem solving and you missed the class for some reason. You had an emergency in the office and you could not attend the class. All the materials are available to you, okay, from your slides, the class slides, the login details to the class recording. All you have to do is click on the class recording and you would have access to the same, conversations that happened in class while you were not there, the type of questions that were asked. And if you have any question, you have the ability to ask the question in your group chat. Somebody would respond to you. If the problem you have or the challenge you are facing needs additional support, you have something we call the drop-in session. Let me see, we have something called the office hours session. Office hours are scheduled during the week in the evening. So it's more like your prep time when you were in high school. So prep time in the evening, you want to study a little bit extra, but you need somebody in there to show you that this is what you have to do. Click on X, click on this, drag this and drop here. You have that person to work with you to show you exactly what to do, and then you have that problem resolved. So for us, if there is anything I would guarantee you 105% is you will not find yourself without help at any point in time. That's a guarantee, 105%, that you need help, you need support. Your mentorship sessions, you have them every week. If you are looking for me, you are looking for Ifemena, the co-founder, every week during your mentorship session, you'd find us there. Okay, so this is the very first mentorship session that held. Okay, I think this is the second. Then you have mentorship session 3. Every single week, you have your mentorship session, Upwork optimization session, your CV review sessions, your mentorship session. You know, you have all the sessions you have the drop-in session as well, your office hour session for additional support, additional help that you would require during the week before the next class, because you don't want to go into the next class without solving the problems you have in previous classes. I think Ninyola, not only Ninyola has questions, but all these questions would help address some of the questions that a lot of people have as well, Kaisedo. So that's why I'm taking time to explain, right? Let's see, I'm checking the chat for more questions. Can you share the total number of persons from the start? From the start of which project? Techno Mobile. I'll give you an example of the total number of people that registered for this particular cohort. And like I said, this is in March. One thing, the track record we have is in a typical class, and we offer 7 programs, all right? 7 programs across all the programs we offer at Analytics. Our data analytics receives nothing less than 70 people. Okay, and I'll just show you. If I click on people, for example, this is the March cohort. This is 73 students, 73, and this is for the EU class. And when I say EU, I mean for those in the UK, for those in Africa, because they all fall within the same time zone. So if I go to the March cohorts for Canada, because we always have 2 classes, and I'm just quickly going to look for that and show you. So in total, we have roughly in a month for a data analytics class, we have roughly 100 people that register. But guess what? Out of that 100, only about 20 people get the discounts available, because human beings naturally procrastinate and they take out time to take a decision. So 20 people usually would get the discount, and the others would come back later to say, please, I also need a discount. I want to, be a part of the program, and so on and so forth. All right. So which is the reason why we always say, you want to be a part of the program, the best thing you can do is take advantage of the discounts and register for one of the programs. I'm trying to look for, I think this is the one for March for those in Canada. Yes. So you can see that Career Skills Incubator North America 2303 for those in Canada, the same cohort, March cohort. You would see that they are also doing the internship Project X. They had their drop-in session with me as well. How many people from those in North America? Let's click on that and see. You have 28 students, 28. So 28 from North America, and for those in Europe, 73. All right. So, which is over 100, obviously. And this is usually the number of people we get for only data analytics. And we have 7 other programs. So for those who would want to start their journey and be a part of the program, the best place to start, the best time to start is now. All right. I can't unmute everybody because that would be too rowdy. Okay. So if you have questions, Kaisedo, you can, send your question in the chat. I would ask people to unmute based on the way they have requested. So the next question goes to James. James, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask your question, James.
Okay, thank you, Adesa. Great job. And I wonder how you just do this every time and you don't get exhausted. It's just quite interesting. Passion, right? It's okay. So two
Absolutely.
things, Adesa. I am sold up to analytics. I haven't gone through the program, but I must have attended tons of these sessions just to get myself ready. Now I'm ready, but I have concerns. All of the sessions I've attended, I never get the videos. I don't know what's going on. I've complained many times. I don't know whether it is a database issue, but we need to fix that. I never get out of that. Second question is, where do the SQL, Tableau, and Power BI part of things, is it going to be taught at the same level, whether you're in the business analysis track or full stack data science or data analytics, or would there be starting toned down versions across any of this? Because I really want to know exactly where to just pitch. So I just want to know, is there going to be the same across those three programs, or would one be toned down in a scenario than another, so that I really know where to pitch my tent? Because I really need those three in the track. I would love to join. Thank you once again. Great job you guys are doing. And this is the cheapest anywhere in the world anybody can get. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, James. Absolutely. It's all about passion. And for myself and Efemena, I mean, we all get that. I would say the gratification comes when we see people get jobs and they actually thank us for getting the jobs, even though they are the ones making the money. So that's the passion for us, like you rightly mentioned. And for the video issue, if you fill the form, the registration form, then you should get the video. If not, this is what I would advise. Check your spam, because it's likely the video goes into the spam sometimes. All right. Check your spam, because even sometimes we get a lot of, we get emails sometimes to say, oh, you sent this, but I haven't received. And by the time we say check your spam, they check and find out that it was, they have it in their spam folder. So that's another suggestion, but we'll definitely look into it. All right. I would look into it personally. I'll discuss with the team to bring their attention to that. But check your spam folder, check your promotions, search for Analytics. The gentleman that sends all those emails, his name is Elijah. So you'd see, if you search for Elijah at tenalytics.org, you'd likely find his email somewhere. But if you still don't get it, then I'll definitely ensure that they look into it for you. Now, going to your question on the different packages, the different tools you'll be learning, are they the same across? The answer is no. And it's very simple, and I'll explain the reason why. Now, as a data analyst, what you focus on and what you do are two key areas of the data analytics spectrum. And I'll quickly just illustrate that for clarity. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, because I want everybody else to benefit from this. So if you're learning Excel in data analytics and you're learning Excel in data science, they are totally two different things. They are not the same. And this is the reason why. As a data analyst, your focus is on two key areas of the data analytics spectrum. Number one is descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics, okay? And number two is diagnostic analytics, all right? So this will be your focus as a data analyst. Now, what does it entail? Descriptive analytics simply helps address the question of what happened, okay? What happened? While diagnostic analytics addresses the question of why it happened, okay? So now, at the beginning, we looked at a dashboard. Two people explained what the dashboard was. telling us, oh, the highest number of people that will be traveling will travel in December and July, and then they would like to go to Paris and the Maldives and so on and so forth. That is what happened. And that's descriptive analytics. Okay, why it happened, you want to ask questions to go a little bit deeper into the data to find trends and patterns. Why do people want to travel in December? Or why do they want to go to Paris? All right. So these are the focus areas for a data analyst: descriptive and diagnostic. However, as a data scientist, you are focused more on what? Predictive analytics. Predictive analytics, which answers the question, what is likely, I don't have enough space, but what is likely going to happen? All right, we are looking into the future. We are predicting into the future. And in predicting into the future, you need to have fundamentals in statistics. You need to understand statistics. So your Excel will not be Excel just for descriptive and diagnostic, but Excel for what? Predictive and forecasting. So the curriculum is different. So while as a data analyst, I'm learning how to use Excel to summarize, build charts, build my dashboard, show what happened, so I can recommend what I think we need to do based on what happened and why it happened. As a data scientist, I'm focused on showing what is likely going to happen. And to do that, forecasting and predictive analytics is hinged on statistics and machine learning. So I'm building linear regression models, logistic regression models. I'm deploying different algorithms to help build my machine learning models to help predict the future. Okay, same with SQL and same with Tableau. As a Tableau, as a data analyst, I'm looking at similar areas of descriptive and diagnostic. As a data scientist, my focus is on what? Predictive. So I'm going to forecast and look into the future by deploying different forecasting techniques. So many of them. Okay, moving average, exponential smoothing, the naive approach to forecasting, so many different approaches. And that's where the difference lies. So if you learn Power BI as a data analyst, you learn as a data scientist. These are the two different areas that you'll be looking across. Okay, descriptive and diagnostic for data analysis, and then predictive for data science. I hope that helps to answer your question, James. Right. So with regard to the video issue, I would ensure that the team looks into that and see how we can address the issues. Okay. But check your spam, check your promotions, just to be sure that you don't have them hidden somewhere in those folders. So Udochi, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and you can ask your question, Udochi.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Udochi.
Thank you for the insights you shared. So I'm really interested in knowing how possible it is to get a job from Nigeria.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's the question in a lot of people's heart and mind at the moment.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Udochi, which is absolutely very important too. How do I get a job? Even if I don't want to leave the country, I'm in Nigeria, but I need to get a job. So how do I do it? Very simple. All right. There's so many other different websites for jobs in Nigeria. Okay. And one of the advantage that people have, but they don't know now, and I have gotten numerous calls and emails from colleagues, from friends to say, recommend people to us, because every day, one person, you see them in the office, the next moment they are leaving the country. All right. And that's typical with so many, organizations in Nigeria today. The Japa craze, everybody leaving the country. All right. They're either coming to the UK or going to Canada or going to the US or one place or the other. So you have a lot of gaps and you have a lot of vacancies. And to fill those gaps fast, and I'll give you a typical example. I received a call from a colleague, a former colleague. They wanted to fill the role for data engineering, two vacancies for data engineering for a new company that the company was setting up. Now, I forgot to send him the CVs I wanted to send. And 2 weeks later, he reached out to me again and said, look, we haven't still found anybody. Can you send me those CVs? Now, what did I do? I simply sent a message to the WhatsApp group of the data engineering cohort and told them that, look, are you interested in getting a job in Nigeria? Send me your CV and I'll put it forward, to this company that was looking to recruit. And what's the salary? That's the, even the most amazing question. The salary was between 850 to 1 million per month. And which a lot of people would think, that really doesn't happen nowadays in Nigeria, but it does. 850K to 1 million, that was the range of the salary. He didn't want to give me the exact, amount, but he told me it was 850 to 1 million. They are currently undergoing the recruitment stage, similar with data analytics as well. A lot of companies would put the recruitment and the job vacancy out there. Some of them would not, and they would leverage on relationships, internal relationships, to see how they can bring in people that would fit into those roles without the hassle of undergoing all the process of sourcing for candidates from different areas. So they would source using their internal network and friends and so on, get the CVs, and they would then take them through the recruitment phase. But are there jobs in Nigeria? Absolutely. There are so many jobs available. I'll tell you that for free. Again, if you want to get remote jobs from Nigeria, because a lot of companies today, even in the UK, a lot of companies are looking to hire people that they would not have to do the hassle of giving them sponsorship. All right. So how do you get the best talents from other regions to work for your company, somewhere across the globe? So remote opportunities are also available out there for analysts within Nigeria, Ghana, and other West African countries and other regions across Africa itself. Okay. So Udochi, I hope that answers your question. Is there a phone number I can speak with immediately? Timile, I'm not sure. I can't receive any calls. If I put my phone number here, everybody would call me up. Now, what I can do for you, Timilehi, is if you need to reach out to us for anything, all you have to do is send us a message, or you can call any of these numbers. And one of our associates, our customer success associates, would address any questions that you have. So you can either reach us on our number if you're in the UK, 0744-803-4093, or +234 if you're in Nigeria, 902-985-0839. You can reach us on any of these numbers on WhatsApp, or you put a phone call through, and then we get to communicate. But Timilehi, what I'm going to do, if you really need to speak with me, I'll drop my email. Just send me an email and I will respond to you. All right? Okay. Does having a student visa affect your chances of getting a job? Latifa is asking. Having a student visa, you have limitations to what you can do. You can only work for 20 hours in the UK. And a 20-hour job would not be a full-time job. 20 hours per week, which is an average of 4 hours per day. If you look at a 5-day, work week from Monday to Friday, all right? But one of the things we also advise people to do is, as a student in the UK with a limitation of 20 hours per week, what you can do is to work on projects and freelance projects on Upwork and make money from there. All right. So while you have your limit of 20 hours in the UK, you can work on projects on Upwork, get jobs where you are working for companies somewhere across the US. And with that, you are able to, so your classes, let's assume you have classes in the morning, you end around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. and your work in the US resumes around maybe 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., depending on the time difference at that particular point in time. So you have the opportunity to do that. But I'll tell you for a fact that it can be a bit challenging if you have a full-time job as a full-time student. All right. So you have to know how to manage your time very well and plan to do that. To work full-time, maybe for a company in the US, working remotely while you are a student in the UK. We've had so many people do it, but you must take your time planning skills to another level to ensure that it doesn't affect your education eventually. Right? I hope that answers your question, Latifat. I'll go to the chat to take more questions. So let's take Mohammed Oladimeji, and then I'll take Kaisido. So Mohammed, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask a question.
Hello, Adesa. Good day to you.
Hello, Mohammed.
I must really commend you for all the good works you are doing at Analytics, trying to, upskill the Black population, especially in diaspora. So huge kudos to you. So my question is, as I've posted in the comment section, for somebody who has, some sort of background in Salesforce, can you help, analyze the connection between, what that person might have learned in Salesforce, whether Salesforce BA or DA, with what you are teaching? So that's my question basically, and just to also get your opinion on the Salesforce, CRM itself. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Absolutely. There are skills that I would say are directly transferable, because I'm sure one of the job roles, if I remember correctly, it's actually indicated that you need to have experience working with a CRM application or a CRM tool, which in that regard, Salesforce directly applies to that. So Salesforce, of course, is a CRM application. And for any company that has a CRM, they want to know that the data analyst coming on board has experience with CRM, especially if it is on a role that relates to the commercial aspect of the business, or you'll be working with looking at the customer relationship area of the business as well. So knowing how to leverage those tools, how to get data from the tools, and then get the data, move it from the CRM into a database, or move it from the CRM, connect to Power BI or any other tool that you need to do your analysis. Because the CRM tool itself helps you to manage the customers that you have and all of that. So leveraging that to help get insights related to your customers would definitely be an additional advantage when applying to a role, right? There are so many roles you'd see out there. If you go on Indeed or you go on Monster and you search for Salesforce analyst, Salesforce business analyst, Salesforce data analyst, you'd see something come up with regards to that. So, and these are analysts who knows how to use the CRM to extract insights, analyze the data, gathered from the CRM to help the business take decisions. So yes, it does have an advantage, all right? But like I always say, you must always also keep your options open, in the sense that because Salesforce doesn't mean I must only go for the jobs that have Salesforce attached to it. You open up your options to get jobs within other areas as well. But that's how I think you can, take advantage of your current skills in the use of Salesforce, adding that to data analytics to help the business answer key questions that they want from their customers. I don't know if that helps, Mohammed. Okay, I think Mohammed is muted. I think I'll take about 3 more questions and then I'll call it a day. Okay, I'll take about 3 more questions. I'll take Kaisido, Stephen, and then Charles. Okay, so Kaisido, I know you've been wanting to ask a question since, so please go ahead, Kaisido.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm on a headset. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Firstly, I want to really, really thank you for the good work you're putting in. You're really, really putting in a good work. Um, the first time I came across this word, analytics, was when I was in the office and a lady from the UK sent me a problem to solve. And it was probably it came from Analytics, and I was like, who are these people that sent you this assignments to do? I was the one that did that assignment for her. So when I saw this Analytics, I was like, these people that I've been looking for. So I had to come into I had to join the group so that so now I can see the face behind the Analytics. So that is one. Secondly, I actually work in the oil and gas industry. And to be frank with you, I've been working for the past 9 years in oil and gas industry. To be frank with you, what we used to enjoy that time, we no longer enjoy it now. So the world has actually shifted to tech. So I'm actually part of the train that wants to move into tech. And funny enough, I studied computer science, but I just got a job in the oil and gas sector. So I've been working in oil and gas. So I feel lost. In fact, I feel lost in that industry. But now I want to come back. So my question is this: is this program really robust enough to accommodate people that are working 24 hours? Because when I'm not in town, when I travel to work, I don't think I have time for any coaching or any classes or anything. In fact, I work sometimes, I work for 40 days, sometimes 50 days before I come back. So imagine me paying for these cohorts now. Okay. And again, okay, for example, I'm traveling next week, Monday, not this Monday that is coming, upper Monday. And I'm going to stay there for the next 1 month or 2 months. Imagine I pay for this cohort now, and the next time I come back from the rig is probably in like ending of September. How can I cope? Truly, I want to leave this industry, this oil and gas industry. I have enjoyed it a lot, and it's time to move. It's time to. But how do I cope? How do I bridge the gap? When I'm not around and when I'm around. So is the program really, really robust enough for me to meet up? Thank you.
All right. Very good question, Kaisido. That's a tough one. Okay. But to answer that question directly, I'll tell you no, you can't learn that way. All right. And that's because the program itself is intensive and immersive in the sense that you're going to work on projects. You'll be expected to work on those projects and submit. You'll be expected to make presentations. So once you are given a project, you've analyzed, you've built your dashboards, you work together in groups and you'd make presentations on your findings, which is part of what you'll be learning with regards to data storytelling. So once you've done all the things you need to do, you need to tell a story for the stakeholders or whoever is, required to take decisions based on your findings, would need to take decisions. You need to participate to get the best value out of the program. Is the program robust? Absolutely, it is. However, can a participant who really doesn't participate fully get the best value? The answer is no. And that's simply because when you have your class on Saturday, you work on a project, for example, you solve that project. On Sunday, you get your Watch Me Do It videos. You watch those videos on Sunday, implement the things you've learned. During the week, you might have a presentation you need to deliver, all right? Or you might have a problem when you watch the video that you needs to be resolved. You'd have a drop-in session during the week for somebody to help you resolve that problem. And then you move into something else, another project on Saturday. So if you're not available to work with your team members, to share ideas, to come up with the approach to solve the problem that you need to solve and make your presentation, I can bet you that you will not get the value that you have. And I'll give you an example. For a cohort that started, the cohort that started last week. That's on the 5th of August. They had their presentation this week. Just give me a second. I'll show you in the WhatsApp group, because one of the things we also advise people to do is the moment you build something, let's take, for example, Caicedo built something from what was taught in class, post it immediately in the WhatsApp group. How does that help? It helps people to do what? See that, oh, my colleagues are doing amazing stuff, so I cannot slack. And I'll show you, just let me share my screen very quickly. And all these things they built. So this is a WhatsApp group of a cohort that started on the 5th of August. All right. And you see the things people are building and they're sharing in the chat based on what they learned in class. Now, this week, that was on Wednesday, they had a presentation in the evening. I was there during the presentation. They presented their different dashboard. It's a customer behavior and marketing dashboard built using Excel. Okay. And each team, so you had 4 different groups. The agile team, you had different groups, they gave themselves names, and then they came up on Wednesday to present. Questions were asked, they had a main presenter. Without you participating, seeing what happened, getting feedback, listening to the feedback that was given, you'll not get the best value. All right. So you have to find that time where you can, you create time for yourself, fully immerse yourself in the program to get the best value. Mentorship is every week, for example, Wednesday or Thursday, depending on your own specific cohorts, in the evenings, which I would say the mentorship is something that no participant should miss. No participant should miss the mentorship. So if you're so busy that even if you miss it this week and you miss it next week, you can join the one for the following week. All the sessions are recorded anyways. However, the more sessions you miss, the more difficult it would be for you to catch up. All right. So yeah, so you have to find time, create time for yourself. I don't know how possible that would be for you, given the nature of your job at the moment. I know a couple of years ago when I was looking to transition and I know I needed time to do a lot of things, I resigned from my job. But I will not advise anybody to do that because it's all dependent on your own specific situation at this point in time, right? But again, if you want to get the best, you need to create time for yourself. Okay. I don't know if that helps. Okay. I hope I've answered your question, Caicedo. So that's what you need to take note of. And I appreciate the compliments you gave earlier. You need to create time. You can't circumvent that particular aspect. Without time to be a part of the program, immerse yourself, you'd really not get the value that the program offers. I'll take one more question, I think, and then I'll call it a day. Stephen, go ahead, please.
Hello, Adesa. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Go ahead, Stephen.
Okay. Thank you for the good work you are doing, uplifting the Black community. The Lord will bless you in the mighty name of Jesus. Okay. So my question, one, this ChatGPT. Can we use it for UK academic assignments? That's the first question. Then even I sent you an email about 4 days ago, but maybe you have not the opportunity to check it. I have an assignment to do, but I mean in the assignment there's some related to analytical strategy, so which I believe is related to what we are learning here. So I'm hoping to join this September cohort, but the assignment I need to submit it like on the 10th of next month. So I'm just trying to see like if I mean immediately I join, can you give me like a preference so that we can quickly discuss about this my own assignment. So those are I mean that was the email I sent to you anyway. So
all right.
I don't know how you can regarding CRM, you understand. So they asked me to develop and implement strategy and analytical strategy to meet sales objectives. So I believe, and I don't have any prior experience about anything analysis. So that's why.
All right. I missed you. I must have missed your email, Stephen. I don't know the email you sent, but I'm sending my email again so that just in case that's not the right one.
Yeah, I send it to this.
All right. I'll check. I'll check for your email. I'll check for it. So can you use ChatGPT for academic work? I would advise you to, if you can stay away from it, please. And that's because academic work in the academia, plagiarism is a major issue. All right. And when you use a tool like ChatGPT for an assignment or to come up with your codes and things like that, the system they use, Turnitin, has the capability to identify that this particular writing or this particular write-up or code is from a generative AI tool like ChatGPT. So you want to be wary of plagiarism, okay? And plagiarism is a big issue in the UK, in Canada, in academia generally, it's a big issue. So I will not advise people to do that. However, if you have to do it, because you can use it to supplement a lot of things, I use it, all right? You must go back to refine whatever ChatGPT gives you. You must rewrite it in your own words, all right? So you can't just take, copy and paste. It would definitely, it would show that this is from, a generative AI tool, and it's to be regarded as plagiarism, and that would be an issue for you. So you want to stay away from that. I'll look at the email. I'll check the email that you sent, all right, and I'll respond to it. But definitely we can work together to see what the task is, preferably since it's on the 10th. If we can look at it earlier than that, then that'll be fantastic. But I'll respond to your email.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Let me see. I think somebody said he had a question. That was Charles. So Charles, I'm going to look for you so you can ask a question. I know your hand was up earlier. I'm not sure I can take everybody's question because of time, obviously. So what we also do is we have these one-on-one sessions where you'd have the questions you cannot ask today. You get them asked, you ask those questions during the one-on-one session, and you get them clarified by one of our associates. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Charles.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the audience. And my question is, first, I'd like to go into this data analytics, and I've already made time for myself because I just quit my job because I'm calling from Nigeria. So I just quit my job because I want to go full time on this tech. And I want to know, is there any of your branch here in Nigeria that we could do physical class, or is it only online classes that you guys do? And my other question is the payment issue. How do I go about it?
All right, good question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good question, Charles. All our programs are 100% virtual, 100% virtual. And that's simply because of a couple of factors. First of all, we have participants from across the globe, okay? Across the globe, from Nigeria, Canada, the UK, across Europe, across Asia, across the Middle East, so many different countries, Nigerians and Africans in these regions. So a physical class would limit and constrain a lot of the people who would like to get value from the programs we offer. That's number one. Secondly, a lot of people want to work remotely today. Charles, I'm sure if you're asked to, would you prefer to work hybrid, work remotely, or come to the office? Which would you prefer?
I would prefer working hybrid. So,
hybrid, exactly, because you want to come to the office sometimes, and sometimes you'd want to be at home. For me, it's 100% remote. So it's a bit, I would say, contradicting to want to work remotely, but you want to learn physically. It contradicts each other. And the beauty of learning virtually is I can be here in Manchester in the UK, and you, Charles, from Nigeria, somewhere in Nigeria, can learn from me, from some of the best professionals in the business. So having a Nigerian class, for example, you'd have trainers, you'd have facilitators that you'd have to deal with in Nigeria, okay? And other people across the globe would not have that same access. So it's a uniform, central learning platform. Everybody works together in the same class, same professionals, best of the best, and you get to learn at the comfort of your home. Another beauty is if you miss a class, which can happen, oh, I'm pressed, I want to quickly use the restroom, or I want to quickly grab a cup of coffee, and you miss something that was said in class. In a physical class, you missed it and you missed it forever. It would never come back. But in the virtual class, the session is recorded. So whatever you missed during the live class itself, you can always go back to refer to the recordings and get all those things. So that's the amazing stuff. And it's lifetime access to all the materials for those that join our program. The case studies, the videos, your class recordings, you have access to them as long as you want. Okay, and how do you make payments? Very simple, Charles. All you have to do is you send your payment to this account on the screen. If you can see my screen, it's a Fidelity Bank account. The account name is Tenalytics, and then you have the account number 5600-597-520. Once you make payments doing a direct transfer, just send us a WhatsApp message to any of these numbers. Somebody would respond to you, okay? And you'd get a link to register and fill your details. And once you've done that, you'd get your welcome kits that would prepare you for the session. So the welcome kit contains all the materials that you need. All right. I hope I answered your question, Charles. Okay, so I'll take Eniola's last question in the chat and then we'll say good night for today. Eniola is saying, oh, I would appreciate if those of us that are newbies can be taught as one. Now, the way the program works, Eniola, is that everybody, if you are experienced, if you are a data analyst, if you've been a data analyst for the last 20 years and you are in a class, a data analytics class, you would learn at the same pace as everybody else. You all start on the same level and you end on the same level. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. And the program is designed for newbies. So we assume that you have no single experience. You have no single idea in data analytics. And that's where we start from. So your very first class, which is problem solving, if I go to the slides, for example, okay, you'd see that. And this session is taken by Nene. Nene has worked with some of the biggest companies. She's worked with KPMG while she was in Nigeria. She currently works with Zelos, a licensee, a Nike licensee in the UK. She's worked with the Bank of America and should be your problem-solving facilitator. The very first thing you'd learn is what is data. So you're not going to be building stuff right on the very first day because these are the building blocks that you need to know before you move into the main areas in data analytics. What is data? That's the very first question. If I ask this question, I'll get all sorts of answers today. All right. Types of data. You'd move on to that. What is data analytics? All right. Types of data analytics. I talked about a couple today. I mentioned that as a data analyst, your focus is on descriptive and diagnostic. As a data scientist, your focus is on predictive and prescriptive. Okay, so this is where you'd start from, Eniola. Everybody starts on the same page. Nobody's moving faster than the class or slower than the class. We all move at the same pace. All right, so this is what you'd start with before you move into Microsoft Excel. Okay, so once you move into Excel, you're watching me do it, you have your first Excel live class, and then you continue from there. Okay, so everybody's on the same page. I hope that answers your question. All the details will be sent to your email, Amelia. All right. So I'm going to call it a day, and I apologize to those. I can't take everybody's question. Olufemi, Betty, Samuel, you all have questions. So what would happen is during the week, would have drop-in sessions, okay? Clarity sessions. So when you see, if you're in the WhatsApp group, if you've filled the registration form, which is the attendance form, you'd receive links to join to register for the clarity session. The clarity session is simply just to, come ask questions, clarify some of the things. You won't have as many people, as we have today in class. So it's easier for you to get your questions answered. Okay, so just look out for that and ensure that you have all those questions answered. I think I've pretty much answered the questions in the chat. Let me see. Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So one of the reasons why I don't like, for those asking me to send my email, I'll start receiving email left and right here and there. If you want to reach out to us, you want inquiries, you want details, you actually have all the details you need. Follow us on all our platforms, all right? All our social media platforms, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook, our website. Any detail you need, once you go to the website, and let me show you, all right? Just go to our website. You have all the details that you need, and that gives you answers to the questions that you have. But if you want to ask questions directly, and our website is tenalytics.io. tenalytics.io, right? So you have access to all the information that you need. You can play this video, you listen to me. I talked about a couple of things on why we are special and what we are doing to help Africans transition, all right? You have all the programs. If I click on this, go to Academy. So I click on Academy, I go to all courses, all right? And this takes me to the different programs that we offer. Or click on view courses, any of these options. It takes you to the courses that we have, that we've all talked about today. Data analytics, this is it. The original fee is $320, like I said, but we currently have a discount of $270. Take advantage of the discount as much as you can. You can view the course in here. You can download the brochure from the website. Okay, this takes you into the brochure, and then you see all the different tools that you're going to learn in the program. All right, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on all our platforms, on LinkedIn. Check LinkedIn most especially to see the amazing work we are doing within the space. All right, and until we have another session like this where we get to answer more questions, have an amazing time. Have an amazing weekend, guys. And thank you for spending your Saturday with me. Cheers, guys. Whenever, share this message, share it with all your colleagues, your family members, those you think would be interested. The drive for us is to get as many people as we can into tech. We're going to change the narrative. We're going to change the landscape of Africans in tech. We've been doing that for the last 3 years, and there are so many more things that we're going to do in the years coming, and we want you to be a part of it. Thank you very much, guys. Have an amazing weekend. Until we see you another time. Cheers, everybody.